Gazelle, go figure out how long ago your mother gave you that name. Thank you. Thank you. I know, like, this is, oh, Mel, see, you know how I feel. Thank you. People are really crazy. Like, I swear, people stay at home all day long. Like, I'm grieving, but I don't go there attacking people or trying to put down people. Like, I have every reason to yeah, he passed away. I have every reason to cuss out everybody, you know. I have every reason to, because I'm like, but I still choose to be loving and nice and caring. Oh, Annie, hide. Do you know why sometimes I come across rude, right? One of the biggest reasons is because people ask some questions that are just like, if you put yourself in those shoes, right? If you put yourself in those shoes, would you want to be asked those questions? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, you don't know that just about an hour ago, I was literally hugging my husband's ashes, crying my eyes out. So when you ask questions that it is like, do I have to sit down and just think, like, put myself in those shoes, I lose somebody. Oh, these crazy Albanian men. Honestly, you guys are... Do you not have like a cafe to go to and have your €1 coffee, please? Non hai ote dan fam. Cioè, apes un spiaia crocosh. No, and it's like these Albanian men, they attack me like they're doing, like it's like they're trying to get comfortability, like they're trying to get their egos. Bro, your own sister and your own mother follows me on TikTok, and you're sitting here trying to act like, go ask my mum and dad. Yeah, like they attack me, like, bro, I don't know you. I don't, like, they're acting as if I'm gonna end up marrying them. Like, I won't even touch you with a pole. Why are you bothering me? Leave me alone. Don't you have a sister to control or something? I don't understand. Don't you have a BMW to go to the car wash and wash? I don't understand. Like, go do your daily activity that you guys do. They sit there all day smoking their Marlboros and acting like a fool on TikTok. Get out my face. Yeah, because people don't realize I grew up in Kosovo. Like, I grew up in Kosovo. Like, thank you. What did my husband do? I'm confused. People that keep making accusations, were you there? Were you there? Do you know the transcripts? Do you know what really happened that day? Because I know what happened that night. But why do you come here with all your legs, your arms, your head, and start making claims? I know what happened that night. You goes, are you... Okay, here we go. Bitter women. Let me tell you something, right? You don't understand when you are in a case the way I was. right? When you see every evidence, when you see everything that's going on, how can I not? Okay, let me keep it this real, right? Let me keep it this real, because you want to be a bitter, bitter little woman. I've even seen the bodies of the autopsies of those victims. I've even seen the crime scene. I've got them. The crime scene photos. So how can you sit there and tell me? How can you sit there and tell me, was I there? I might as well have been there, because I've seen the pictures of the bodies. I've seen where the bullets went through where they came back out. I've seen everything. So, okay, Sana, so why are you here if you don't care? I'm so confused. Life for a life. Look who's talking. You sit there, go sleep around, and you should be executed too. Nah, some girl. Like, what more do you want me to see? What more do you want me to see? Sana, with all due respect, yeah? Keep it stepping, sis. You are sitting here, Muslim lady, acting like a fool. Go, is it not Eid tomorrow? Go away. I beg you, please. Go away. Go away, go away, go away. It's Eid tomorrow. No, I don't do anything else. I just sit here. Sana, like, you need to worry about Eid on Wednesday, sis. Don't be worried about me. You need to sit there and worry about your business. Don't worry about me. You're bored. You're bored. I don't understand what more people want to see. Like, do you, like, if I could, not that I ever would, but like I said, I've seen the crime scene pictures. I've seen the bodies. I've seen the autopsies. I've seen the DNA. I've seen the truth of what happened that night. I've had conversations with people in that system. And you're sitting there telling me you don't know nothing. It speaks a lot. O jarbreš, pašni zot ško džeje najburdi kon memset. Haj šo čajem ško džeje ni bur, pašni Allah. Pašni zot ško čid naj čaja i naj kofa naj lokomane naj bombonjer. Het šo če, het se tud kan mitt bøtha brest med fålen. Yeah, I speak English too. He's gone to hell. Where are you going? All these, I swear to God, it be your own people, you know. Tudor, let me make you high on PCP, and do you know what? I'm speaking Albanian. And you support your dad who commits fraud. Here, there you go. You think I don't know about the universal credit fraud that your dad commits, pretending to be single and your mother not being single, and that pays your mother's rent? Please don't try me. Don't try me, Albanian boy, because I can... Don't try me. Don't try me. I think I know the little better, but then okay. Do you know what? We leave it as that. So from the moment you're starting this competition about the law, I'm gonna leave you there. I'm gonna leave you there because you're not you. I don't understand, why are you Albanian men here? Why? If he was guilty and did commit the crime, would you be still supportive? I wouldn't have spoken to him. That's how crazy it gets. I would, if, listen to me, right? I'm against the death penalty in totality. Like, there's no question with the death penalty, right? Okay, but you're still here with a fake account. I'm completely against the death penalty. Absolutely. However, oh, this guy, bruv. I beg you, go check your universal credit or something. Height, that pays your fake Mercedes. Like, I'm against the death penalty 100%, right? Would I have been as supportive as I am now individually? That's why I don't touch. That's why I had the choice to message so many different death row inmates, right? And I chose not to because some majority of these cases, I just knew I couldn't, right? I just knew I couldn't be as supportive as to somebody who I knew did not commit the crime. So to answer your question, would I have been as supportive if he did end somebody's life? Have you got black IQ? Oh, Jesus, here we go. The racists are out. I wouldn't have directly been supportive. How did you know before messaging him if you could support him so much? You study the law. I don't look at Google and I don't look at ChatGPT and I don't look at articles. I look at real absolute evidence. Like, I look at real absolute evidence. If you look at public records and you look at the Supreme Court filings, you look at the CCA filings, then you will know based on what happens. And then when I was given the real transcript, the proper transcript that nobody has access to. Oh, Jesus. Some people are just so fucking stupid, I swear to God. Do you know it is for free to be fucking dumb? Like, I've come to a point, education is expensive. Like, and it's time consuming. All right. So my question to everybody is, if nobody cares, why are you here? Hey, Kendra. Yeah, please, Kendra. I thought I did mod you a long time ago. Sorry, my love. Do you know what? I feel like, do you know what? I'm going to be the therapist for the trolls on here because I guess they just need to express the bitterness and the anger. So please go ahead. Go on, troll. Thank you. No, but you're on here talking, expressing your anger. So go ahead. So why are you here? You don't have to be the 382 people here. Like, it's not that deep. Like, it's not by force. It's not by force. If you want to ask questions, then feel free to. But honey, like, I'm not going to sit here and speak to somebody. Hi, Cindy. Yes, please, Danny. Because this is why I always come on late. Sorry, somebody asked about my outfit. My outfit is just literally a mango dress. It's a mini dress. But it's like, I'm okay. No, it was, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, either last year or the year before. And it kind of like ties up. It's a really nice dress. Do you know what's so funny? I've had this dress for 2 years. And I've not worn it. Have I met him? Yes, I have. I've spent a lot of time with him. Thank you. Do you know what? Oh, sorry. I don't even know how to unblock. He did pass away. Okay. So I've got a lot of people who are saying they're new here and they want to know what's... Okay, so I'm going to speak... From time you call yourself Magic Mike and you sit here talking about... Look how old you are. You're an old big man talking about Magic Mike and catching vibes and breaking hearts. The only flipping thing you're breaking is your brain cells. You just... Please. Okay, I'm gonna tell the story. Hold on, how do I unblock you? I don't even know anymore. Like, this has got so out of control. I don't think I blocked you. I think maybe it was by one of the... Hold on. Jesus, there's so many people. Oh, there we go. I've removed it, Dan. I just found it and removed it. Okay, so this is what's happened. I'm gonna speak about it. And then, yeah, I just did it. I'm gonna speak about it, right? So this is what's happened, right? James, on the day that... Okay, so this is what happened. James was on his way. He was in Georgia. This is how it all happened, right? He was in Georgia. James then decides that he wants to go to the military and apply for college, right? And what happens is his mother says to him, because his mother used to be a truck driver. So his mother says to him, meet me. Oh, Krista Pike, she's a different case. His mother says to him, meet me in Dallas and you can jump on my truck and, you can jump on my truck. And then what happens is, she says you can jump on my truck and then we'll take you back to Arkansas and prepare you for school and whatever. James then leaves Georgia and he comes to Dallas to meet his mum. When he arrives in Dallas, bearing in mind, co-defendant, do you know what? I want to put up a photo. Co-defendant was in prison from like the age of 12, 13. Demarius was in and out of prison from the age of 12, 13. So that's how much of a bad child he was, that he had to get removed from the family. Anyways, James takes the bus from Georgia, goes to Dallas to go meet his mum like he was originally supposed to. He arrives in Dallas. His mom says, I ain't got space to put you in the truck. I've got my boyfriend with me. So she leaves him stranded. She leaves him stranded at 19 years old in the middle of Dallas, right? Middle of Dallas, leaves him stranded. And I'm just going to ignore your little fake ass. And what happens is, right, his cousin, hold on. So his mum, Jesus, do you know what? Hold on. I think I'm going to do something. So 2 seconds, guys. Where's the settings? Now you idiots can shut the hell up. And you're going to have to be forced to listen to me. And I can't wait to see those numbers go down. So let me get back to the story, right? And then I'll bring the comments back. Because I've got ADHD and I'm too distracted. So what happens is, James gets stranded in Dallas. James got stranded in Dallas. James also had an addiction to PCP. PCP is a hallucinogenic drug. In the UK, it's worse than shrooms, worse than LCD, all these other like ecstasy and all of that stuff. It's worse. It makes you act numb, no emotions, super hallucinating. Like, you don't, like, people have committed suicide. There's been stories where they've seen people in America run around naked in around. James was addicted to that from a young age. He used to lace it with marijuana. And he's been on it from the age of 8-9 years old. There is, on my TikTok, there is proof, because I've put up the proof where the doctor in the jail put down that he has been smoking marijuana with PCP from the age of 8-9 years old, right? So anyways, he ends up stranded in Dallas. The only family member that he has in Dallas is Demarius and Demarius's family, which was his other sister Kermit, his brother Ricky, and I believe there's another younger brother, right? Anyways, and because James's mum and Demarius's mum are sisters. They're sisters. Demarius's mum, Tiny, has now passed away. She's passed away. So that's what's happened. Demarius's mum, Tiny, passed away. Demarius's mum, Tiny, always knew that James never did it. And she always said that it was her son, because her son would run around with weapons. Because he was in and out. I've even got a picture. Let me put this up, right? So I can prove it to you guys, because Jesus help us. So look at this. Oh my Jesus. So I didn't know James, but I know his cousin. We were locked up in the youth commission in the 2000s, right? There we go. I know his cousin. We were locked up in the 2000s. Just bearing in mind. So that's the proof. That's the proof that Demarius was in jail way before James ever was associated to him. Obviously they're cousins, but they never ever really saw each other, because Demarius was taken out of the family due to him consistently being in prison from a young age. Bearing in mind, they're both 19 years old. So they went into prison when in 2009. Take away 9 and put it back down to the early 2000s. You can see from how young age Demarius has been in prison for robberies and for weapons and for violence. James, on the other hand, had no crimes. He had nothing but a possession of marijuana. That's all James had. Thank God. Look, the views are going down because the trolls are leaving and they don't want to hear the truth. So that's what's happened. That's what's happened now. Demarius goes to meet James. James is high off his head already because he's addicted to PCP. So what happens is Demarius comes up with the plan and says, come with me to Garland. Let's go rob these guys. Let's find somebody to rob. Right? When James follows his cousin, because at the end of the day, James is by himself. He has no money. There's no way to go places, left, right, whatever. So he goes with his cousin. Should he have? James always said, I should have never followed my cousin, especially knowing that my cousin was a troublesome and violent man, a boy at the time. Anyways, they end up in Garland, Texas, right? Yes, James said when he was high and he was falsely confessing, it's the rich white area. Garland is not a rich white area. I've been there. I've got pictures of Garland. It's not rich. Yes, it's predominantly white, but it's not rich, right? It's not even middle class. It's just a tiny little place in Texas. There's not far to go. Anyways, they end up bumping to these two men. Bearing in mind, Matthew Butler was already bipolar and a violent man himself. His own daughter told me. his own wife, a widowed wife, told me, right? Anyways, I don't know what happens in that conversation to lead. Bearing in mind also, just to remind you, Demarius brings the weapon. Demarius brings the weapon. Demarius plans it. Demarius turns around and says, I'ma pop him, just to put fear in them. James is high. He don't know what the heck is going on, right? They meet up with these two guys. These two guys also have a weapon on their possession. These two white Christian men have a weapon on their possession. Demarius has a weapon on his possession. And somehow they end up having this altercation, which then leads Demarius to pew-pewing these two men. Pew-pewing them. And then robbing them. How do I know he pew-pewed them and he robbed them? Because on the weapon, Demarius's DNA was all over the weapon. James was completely excluded. Demarius's DNA was all over the victim's body. James was excluded. It comes to a point now, they jump in the car that obviously Demarius takes the keys to, and there's a wallet. They get in the car, they drive back to Texarkana. Yeah, it was Texarkana. So they drive to Texarkana, they go into one of Demarius's auntie's house. Demarius is boasting about it, right? Demarius is boasting about what he's done. But bearing in mind, at the time, I don't know about now, crime watchers would provide you like $3,000-$4,000 for if you reported somebody. So obviously now, Demarius's auntie, not James's, that was not James's family member. This was Demarius's family member, decides that let me protect Demarius and let me get some money out of this. Let me call the police and say James did it. That's one, strike one. James is high off his damn head. He don't know what's going on. He's just in this car. They get in the car. As they're driving, there's Demarius driving. James is a passenger seat. And then there's another guy at the back. We don't know who the heck this guy is till this day. They get arrested. The other guy gets released. Demarius and James get arrested and sent to Dallas County Jail. Now, when James gets sent to Dallas County Jail, they realize that James is high off his head. They realize that James is not normal right now and he's high off his head because he's screaming and shouting, I'm hearing shit, I'm seeing shit. I need a lawyer now. The police try to interrogate him. He tells them, no, I'm not speaking. I need a lawyer now. So the only way they can get him to say what they want him to say is they put him in they divide him. So obviously by this point, just to bear in mind, by this point as well, when Demarius and James were together in the Dallas County Jail, before they get separated, Demarius tells James, you take the blame because I've got a big criminal record. And if they know that I did it, they're giving me the death penalty automatically. I don't have mitigating circumstances. Whereas you don't have a criminal record. You take the blame. And when it comes to mitigating circumstances, they will see that you've never committed a crime. So James says, bet, I'ma take the blame. Not only that, he's high. So the police now take him, put him in a specific different cell, excluded from everybody else. I have messages from a CEO who worked in Dallas County Jail that saw this all happening, and I'm gonna put it up. He then gets put into a different thing because James is refusing to speak to anybody. Right? Without a lawyer. So what do? They put somebody who's high on PCP in a room where it makes you seriously paranoid. It makes you aggressive because if you go back on my TikTok page, you will see the stuff that I've posted, which they say he's acting aggressive, he's being paranoid, he's being agitated, he's hallucinating. And they knew if they put him in that room specifically, that he will start acting crazy. So what do? Bearing in mind, again, let me bring an important information. He got put into the prison at 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning. So they left him in there until 8 o'clock in the morning, right? At 8 a.m., the detective tells a CO, a correctional officer, go take James Broadnax to the visiting area. He has a general visit. Again, I can't wait to post all this stuff up on social media so you guys can see it. The lady who got questioned on the stand of the trial, she said, I didn't even know that there was a media team. By this point, James, then he's lost his mind. By this point, he's now been taken with the knowledge that he is going to be interviewed by, he's going to be seen by a family member because he gets told it's a general visit. Next thing you know, he's in front of 5 different interviewers, high on PCP, and now he's thinking, I need to speak up for my cousin. I need to protect my cousin because I've got a higher chance of not having the death penalty than he does, right? Because I've never committed a crime. Not only that, he's high on PCP, he's acting deluded, right? So now he's saying stuff that he doesn't even mean. He's saying stuff because he's hallucinating, which there is evidence, again, that they've said he is showing absolute signs of somebody who is under the influence of PCP. Education is not hard. Going on Google and searching up PCP and the signs of PCP is not hard. He starts reciting lyrics of Lil Wayne. He's slurring. He's repeating his words again and again and again. So he gets interviewed 5 times. One of the interviews with that idiot Steve Pickett from NBC, the liar, the cheat, right? Because I'm going to say it to his face. You saw he starts breaking down. There's a reason why he also said there is no DNA on the weapons. He was given subliminals to say, hello, I didn't do it. I'm only protecting my cousin right now. But when you go against people that set you up, the prosecutor then goes around, so that happens. All that fiasco happens. As soon as that madness happens, David Lola, who was the defense attorney at the time for James, walks into the jail and takes him out of those interviews and shuts it all down. Shuts the whole thing down. And they throw James into suicide watch because of the stuff he was saying on TV, which was making the Dallas County Jail accountable for a lack of duty of care on James. A 19-year-old boy who's under the influence and is acting delusional. So they have to protect themselves by putting him into suicide watch. James does not remember fuck all. He does not remember nothing. Nothing. Until 3 days later, when people watch him having withdrawal symptoms and he nearly commits suicide. And then James wakes up, sobers up and thinks, what the heck have I just done? I've just gone off and taken the blame for this idiot because the intermediate, what do you call it? The experienced criminal goes on TV because he knows how criminals work. You have to act remorseful, you have to act sad, and he throws the blame on James. Bearing in mind, people don't realize that James, in his story, said he asked one of the either Butler or Swan for a cigarette, and then Demarius goes on his interview and says it was Demarius that asks Butler or Swan for a cigarette. So which one asked for the cigarette? Their stories did not match. But the biggest problem is, thank God the trolls are leaving because I can see it. It's going down and down and down. But what happens is right. When they ask James, what do you have to say to the families? He says, fuck them. Right? That's what got James in the death penalty. The families of Butlers and Swans have always said it loud and clear. We know he never did it, but we are going to get him back for saying fuck him. They knew there was no evidence. They knew there was nothing indicating that James did it. They knew that Demarius did the shooting and killed their sons, their husband, and their father. But They were holding a grudge on what James said under the influence. It had nothing to do with the evidence. Not only that, they chose a black prosecutor. Not only that, they struck off every black person off the jury. I'm going to bring the comments back. If I see one more stupidness, I'm taking them off. I don't care anymore because now I don't care. So this is what happens. They go into the court, and then they turn around and they choose a black prosecutor. They strike off every black person off the jury, bearing in mind the cousins doing life without parole. So what happens is, right, this is what happens. They decide, they then give Damaris a deal, but they don't give James a deal because now the family are forcing, they're pushing for James to die. They're pushing for James to die to the point that they're giving money. Money is going, right? Money is going. No, because why did they give the death penalty? Because the families turned around and said that because James said fuck him whilst he was high, they wanted him dead for that. They didn't want him dead because they believe that James shot them, because they knew it. I've got screenshots of the mother of Butler and also the wife of Butler saying that they knew James never did it. They knew that the cousin did it. But because James said fuck him, they wanted to get the last laugh and they wanted to kill James. It had nothing to do with James being not the person doing it. Thank you, Brittany. Sorry. So, no, they did not apply the law of parties on James. They applied the law of parties on Damaris. Damaris is now doing life without parole. But they were angry about what James said on the recordings, right? Not because James didn't do it, but because James said fuck him. Because everywhere they go, yes, he died because he was under the influence, right? Anyways, so what happens now is James then turns around and says to the lawyers, I did not do it. I did not do it. Tell them I did not do it. David Lola turns around and says to James, you need to shut your mouth. I'm not putting you on that stand, and you better look down and stop speaking. You better not show no emotion, no nothing. So the whole time in that courtroom, they excluded every black person from the jury. When they excluded every black person from the jury, right, bearing in mind, they chose a black prosecutor for a reason, because they didn't want to make it look like it was racist, but he knew what he was doing. Of course, he knew James's ignorance. He knew that James... So, Damaris is not so guilty about James. Have you spoken? No, I haven't. So, this is what happens, right? So, this is what happens. Anyways, I keep getting distracted. This is why sometimes I have to turn those off. Yes, this is another thing I'm going to speak about, right? Because I need people to speak, right? On how... So, what happened was they excluded every black person from the jury. Of course I need a doctor because you don't like it. You don't like that I'm telling the truth. They exclude every black person from the jury, and then they turn around. The judge stops the court and he's like, hold on a minute. I remember on the transcript, he says, hold on a minute. You guys are about to give her, like, you're about to give us a massive problem here because you've excluded every black person from the jury. So what do? They bring the guy... They bring the guy back. They bring one black guy in the jury and make him the foreman juror, the head juror. And not only that, he went to church. He went to church with Steve Pickett and Sean Rabb, and their wives knew each other. Bearing in mind, this guy originally said this. Regardless of that. Of what was happening, it's nice to have a person of no color to stand for people of color. Thank you. So what happened was, right, what happened was they then bring this one black guy who is friends with the two journalists and their wives. Bearing in mind, he originally said that he was against the death penalty. When he gets re-questioned, he said, well, my wife's a priest at this church, and I am going to go with what my wife believes in. So in order for you to be under joint enterprise, dummy, the prosecutor needs to apply it on your case. Learn fucking law and stop talking stupidness, right? Because today, God forgive me, I've been cursing a lot today. So what happens is, when it came to, so it was okay. So let me tell you this, right? You have a 19-year-old black boy on trial. He doesn't have no family. He doesn't have nothing. No support, no nothing, right? Nothing. You have a black prosecutor and you have 11 white people sitting down. He's dead. They've killed him, my darling. So bearing in mind, yeah, let me ask you this. To all the black people on this live right now, if you were sitting, I'm not even going to start because I've already told the story. I've already told you what happened in the interview. I'm not starting with your bullshit because you're just chatting for the sake of speaking. Your voice bill, never mind. Let me ask you this, yeah? To all my African American and black people on this stage, if somebody said to you guys, this is a gangster, a black thug, he's an ape from Animal Planet, and he's a new breed, would you have tolerated it? Would you have sat there and felt uncomfortable? Thank you. So that's what I'm saying. But why was he able to say that to a bunch of white people? He was able to say that to a bunch of white people and they all nodded. And they was okay with it. They were comfortable with it. They were okay. That's why he was able to say stuff like that, because he knew, one, as a black prosecutor, on how to describe a black boy, and he knew he could get away with it saying it to a bunch of white people on the jury. That's why he was able to say all those horrendous stuff about James, about how he's a thug, how he's a gangster, he's a gang member, typical black boy, he's an ape from Animal Planet, he's a new breed. Yes. So that's why he was able to get away with it. He used the prosecutor, David Alex, used his own race because he was, yes, Butler and Swan family knew James was innocent. They knew it. They told me he was innocent, right? So bearing in mind, yeah, they knew, Greg, go away. Greg, honestly, go away. They knew that David Alex knew that he could get away by saying the stuff he was saying and he was told that if you get him the death penalty, you are going to make stupid amount of money. This is going to be your jackpot. And that's what exactly happened. So do you know what they did? They go on to, guys, please, if you want to see so anyways, I can give you all the names of the jurors that were there, right? It's so crazy that if you go on Dr. Phil podcast on YouTube, the juror that gave James, Elaine Clements, that gave James the death penalty, right? Even then, she gets up on Dr. Phil's podcast and says to them that how they consistently just played the recording because they had no other evidence, to the point that they went above and beyond. Whilst James was in the jail, they tried to set James into a fight. To make him look violent in the jail, right? They bring the guy that he had a fight with in on the stand, and the guy turns around and says, it was not James's fault. It was my fault. I was interrogated to start the fight with James. So what they were doing was they would set James up in the Dallas jail in order for James to look violent. D is having mental breakdowns right now. D is having mental breakdowns now. You guys don't understand how James was set up. Like, James was so set up because, let me tell you this, yeah? Let me tell you this. Demarius, sorry, because we call him D. Demarius. That's his, yeah, JB didn't listen. Like, James is that kind of person, right? James is that kind of person where he's just like, I used to say to him, like, how are you not angry at Demarius? And he's just like, babe, like, what am I to do? Look what I got myself into here for taking the blame to start with. Like he's like, what? How can I get angry at him when I took the blame for him and to protect him? And he went off and did life without parole. And you know what's so crazy? Demarius and James were in the same prison for majority. Yeah, Demarius is his cousin. Demarius and James were in the same prison for majority of the sentence, and they didn't even know they were in the same prison. But up until somebody told James where the SEG unit is, that's where the death row unit is as well. They told James that your cousin keeps causing too much problems in general population. And James was like, listen, that's not my business. That's not my problem. He was in there for 17 years. Do you think he would have taken the blame if Dee didn't tell him to? No. James would have never taken the... I know him well enough. James would have never done it. James would have never taken the blame. Because that's why in the beginning, when they tried to interrogate him without a lawyer, James was like, I'm not speaking. Give me my lawyer. I need a lawyer. If anything, give me a psych lawyer because I'm high. I'm losing my mind. James took the blame because Demarius convinced him that if you go on YouTube, Angelica, you need to be careful before Greg Abbott sends you back home, honey. You need to watch what you're. Be careful, Angelica, Dominiquez. If I was you, I would be careful because you're protecting a man that don't even respect you. So what's on YouTube, hon? I need to find out more. So if you go on Justice for James Broadnax, let me put it on here, right? Let me put a comment on here. Oh. For James Broadnax. So if you go on YouTube for Justice James Broadnax, you will see the confession of the cousin and how he describes it. You will see about James's life. You will see about James's... Thank you, Sarai. You will see everything. We were together for 2 years. What are you talking about? We were supposed to get married 4th of December. But they kept playing about. Whoever has family members or husbands or anybody in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, they will know how hard it is for them to be married. No, the D will never get the death penalty. And that was the problem. That was the problem, because they kept putting fear on, like, he kept saying it all these years. Listen, I did it. James didn't do it. He took the blame. I did it. But they kept putting fear on him, saying, well, we might give you the death penalty. So he was too scared to put it on paper. He's always admitted he's done it, but he wouldn't put it on paper up until the execution date was given. Yeah, of course I'll be able to work in law. The only way I wouldn't have been able to work in law is if I was his direct lawyer and then I went off and ran off with my client, which will never ever flipping happen. Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, Damaris can be free any time now. Restart my live. Why? Oh, yeah. Okay, let me restart. My brain hurts. Okay. Yeah, because you don't understand how much flipping craziness I had for them to block it. They gave me a restriction because of the amount of trolls I had. You know them rundown eagles. Them red and black fake eagles. I've got a migraine as well. Sorry, Danny. I thought I unblocked you. I don't know what happened. Thank you. James would have been accountable for robbery. Which James always said, I am accountable for robbery because I was there during the robbery. But he was, and even, do you know what's so crazy? John Busey, who's the legislator of Texas, he even told Greg Abbott, if you're going to sentence him, at least give him for robbery. You can't, he should not be in the death, he should not have the death penalty. You guys have unproportionately sentenced him. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, because it was racism, it was corruption, it was politics. So what happens next? There's so much going on in the background right now to ensure that James's story stays alive. He gets exonerated. Guys, you need to remember, you're more highly, the chances, that you will have higher chances to be exonerated after they execute you than whilst they're alive, because you can exonerate somebody after somebody. What is justice? What sounds like justice to you? What is there to be justice? Killing a black boy for what? He passed away. What's the date now? He passed away 25 days ago. It feels like forever. 25 days ago. He passed away April 30th. Damaris was fully black. If you go, like I said, if you go on yo sito bo pengies poduna me fol anglisht. If you go on that YouTube video, you will see Damaris speaking on camera. Yes, I have current goals of what I want to do. I'm an activist against the death penalty now. I advocate against the death penalty. I specialize English comeback. I mainly specialize in racial disparities in the death penalty. So I target trials. Yeah, like, guys, if you go on that YouTube video, you will find out everything about what happened to him with his mum. And you will understand why his family was not at the execution. So I focus on racism. Where's the video? On YouTube, search up Justice for James Broadnax. That's my last name. How can I mess it up? There's videos. So there's a video of the documentary of James's life. And then obviously there's some of his family members there. And then there's the video of Demarius confessing. Yes, of Demarius confessing to him doing it and how he convinced James to take the blame. Who made the document? So there was a media team. They had to do it for the clemency to send it to the parole board, which they never even looked at. I don't know. My internet's fine. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you. Sorry, Brianna, I saw your message this morning and then I didn't even have time to reply. I apologize. Thank God the trolls are gone. But let me not speak too soon because they come like little worms. But yeah, if you look at it, even Dr. Phil podcast, you see the juror who gave James the death penalty speak about it too. And the juror, Elaine, went to see James. She came with me to go see James as well. And she apologized to James for giving him the death penalty. My anxiety has been so bad. Like, my anxiety has been so bad. Yesterday, I'm not even gonna lie, I had a bad mental breakdown. Like, I was trying to listen to gospel music. No, I will never go see Demarius. I came across a gospel song and it just set me off. It just set me off. Like, genuinely, guys, I was done. Like, I was done. Like, I slept the whole day. I cried. Like, I was just... If a person has been already convicted, but they have to serve... Yeah, they would remove the conviction, but it won't bring him back to life. It depends on their parole conditions. So it depends on what they are asking. So they usually, from what I remember at the top of my, it depends also what state. So some people, they say it depends the crime, it depends what the parole conditions are, and then it also depends what state. Because some D can get out. D can eventually come out. No, there will never be a payout. And not as far as I know. If James was alive, yeah, but I know it has got the delusion to me, right? I'm delusional to protect the people that are being oppressed. Yes, the racists. It depends. It depends what the conviction. What is the conviction? Because I'm guessing it's not. It's not capital M. So what's his conviction? Generally, I believe in Dallas. I think they have to do a certain amount of time. I'm gonna check into it. I can't remember at the top of my head. If you find me today to check. Yes. Yeah. Okay. DM me because I did see your message this morning, but I was. You got life. I can't remember. I remember speaking with somebody. So, okay, somebody asked me, can you tell us the difference between capital and M? So, capital M is when there is an unaliving of a someone. However, it comes with more than just an unalivement. So, you get capital M if a child's been unalived. You get capital M if it's SA, so it's assault. You know what I mean? Like inappropriate assault, in the best way to say it. You get capital M if somebody's unalived in the process of a robbery. You get capital M if there's more than one person. And there's some other stuff. That's how you get capital M. And if you're a black person, I have to keep it real. I'm gonna reply to that in a second. M charge is just an unalivement. Generally, it's just an unalivement of somebody. But then the US, like Texas, they pick and choose who. Yeah, the Texas pick and choose who have capital M and who have M. Because I've been to a capital murder case, right? I've been to a capital murder case, and because it was black on black killing, they said, "Oh, we're not pursuing the death penalty." Because the defendant's black, the victim's black, it doesn't matter, right? So it's weird. Yes, 100%. But that's what I'm saying to you. Or it's also the fact that, yeah. No, Brianna, that's fine. Because someone just asked me, I'll check into it. Because someone asked me about capital M. So capital M is very weird on how they go along with it in Texas. And the most likely you will get, so if the defendant is black and the victim is white, you're more likely to get the death penalty. If your case is a very big case, like Athena Strand's case with Tanner Horner, then we're not going to talk about immorality, because if we're going to talk about immorality, then we're going to take it to a level where you should not be fornicating before marriage. You should not be lying. Lie is a lie, whether it's white, pink, blue, whatever, it's still a lie. We're not going to talk about immorality here, please. Okay? Let's sit down. Let's not go there. So if you go on like the Death Penalty Information Center, you will see that black people and Hispanics are more likely to get the death penalty than white people. Of course, Diana, sorry. I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm sorry. Do you think Tanner Horner? I'm going to tell you this, right? I'm absolutely... sorry, because I had a restriction. What Tanner Horner did was disgusting. It is heinous. It is horrendous. Like, you should never ever do... Ending somebody's life should never be acceptable, right? It's unacceptable no matter how it happens. Even James said it. Even James never wanted that. James used to feel disgusted. The fact that he was involved in a crime where his cousin ended two people's lives. Like, he's always spoke so loudly about it. People don't know that James was so traumatized about what had happened that he used to tell me, like, babe, I get flashbacks and I still sometimes can smell the blood. Like, he used to feel so traumatized at the fact that he was ever involved in something, let alone took a blame for somebody who is a con artist anyways, right? But as I was saying, Tanner Horner, one thing about me is I'm against the death penalty, absolutely. Like, I'm against it in totality. One is because, let me tell you something, I don't want to be accountable for nobody's death. Shari, honey, don't act like you wouldn't have messaged my husband, please. Listen, baby girl, don't try it. Sorry, my darling. Sorry. Dana. Sorry. Sorry. I'm so bad with name. That's why I don't ever mention anybody's name. I just don't want to be accountable for nobody's death. That's it. If you want to go take somebody's life, that's on you. You deal with that for the rest of your days. That's not, or you have to face the creator. You have to face whoever you believe, right? For me, I'm not getting involved. I am not involved in nobody's killing. It's as simple as that. No, not even since the trial. They haven't spoken since the day they made that agreement in the jail for James to take the blame. You are who you hang out with. He wasn't even supposed to hang out with Demarius. If you was here in the beginning, you would have known how Demarius ends up meeting with James. James and Demarius never crossed, they barely crossed paths because Demarius spent more time in prison in his childhood than anything else. Let me tell you something, yeah? And I said this to the police officers. Right? Yeah, there was a particular reason. Was because, my brain, sorry, I keep getting distracted by stupidness. And this bun is tight. Do you know when you're trying to be a smart ass, right? When you're trying to be a smart ass, it's not cute. You're not getting anywhere. Albanian with the coloured guy. Fair play. Oh. No, don't do that. Oh no, that's somebody else. Never mind. Sorry. The lethal injection causes pain. The potassium in the lethal injection burns your veins. That's the point. James groaned. I can't speak. My ADHD is just really bad right now. Oh, Jesus. Let me look at this guy. Oh, my God. He's an old... My boy, that you're laughing, yeah? Let me tell you something. You are an old 2000s, wearing a snapback, still got a little bit of hair growing on top of your chin, and you're pushing 45. Please, go find a wife. Go somewhere and go find a wife. Go. Do you know why? It's because I come on as earlier than usual. That's why I always come in late. Pse s'po kërkon të drejtat e motrave dhe nënave Kosovë që janë vrarë për dhunuar? A din për çka? Se me hiun e atyne, so unë jam njëna pjesënve femnave që ka pas i ka këto probleme që po thu. Me hiun aty punëve, ma mirë mu më vrajnë. Po duhet dhe unë që ato me i bo. Mos ta njëni se dhe që aty unë kom i hi. Shumë shpejt. Sorry guys. I have to switch it up in Albanian sometimes. Qa beson? Pula. Yes. Kamenitis in Kosovo, Kamenitis. Yes, there are, I'll be honest with you, there are, like Robert Robertson, he's definitely innocent. He did not unalive his daughter. Oh, thank you, Marie. The Albanian men don't really like me at all. I'm their lethal injection. One thing that I would change about the DP would be a fair trial. How people are tried. Let it be fair and let it be correct. That's the biggest problem about the death penalty. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I've even said to Greg Abbott myself, right? I've said to Greg Abbott myself, if you're going to keep the death penalty, fair enough. But ensure that it achieves the right thing. No, not in the UK. Let me tell you something, right? Let me tell you, if we have the death penalty in the UK, majority of these guys, these knife crimes, because the capital murder fulfills majority of these knife crimes that happen. You'll be seeing a lot of young black men in the UK receive the death penalty. I can promise you today. Because our biggest problem is gang-related knife crime. That's what I'm saying. And how many people, this is the biggest problem. It would never, let me tell you something, the DP will never, it hasn't reduced a gun crime, let alone knife crime. But people that think that the DP is a deterrent is the biggest, what did you study in uni? I studied law. One of the biggest people that don't respond to the haters are not worth your time, girl. You're bigger. Thank you, Josh. Thank you. One thing I can tell you is, the death penalty has never deterred It will never. As from the minute Cain unalived his brother Abel in the Bible, that showed from the beginning that the unaliving will never ever stop in this earth. Yes, unshaken truth is Josh, who was wrongfully convicted. Follow him, guys. He's got some good podcast. He's very detailed on the shaken baby syndrome. Do you think James should be free? Yes. I was not able to touch James until he passed away. You know, guys, from the minute James went into prison, into death row, you know, James has never had a fight in prison. Not once. Not once. Like, there are guys who have been there for 40 years, 30 years in death row, right? They watched him. Thank you, Kristen. They watched him go in there as a 19-year-old boy and come out of there and die at 37. And James, even the correctional officers, everybody turned around and said James was the best inmate we've had. He's never caused us problems. He's never had, right, Krissa? He's never had any issues. He never needed handcuffs. Like, it was just because of protocol. Like, genuinely, James never had no fights. Nothing. It will never affect my job. If anything, because it's not like I turned around. I was working in his case and then I fell in love with my client. I'm glad you looked at DPIC. So it's a situation where, if anything, it will never affect my job. I don't know yet. They will never do anything to his cousin. He could potentially come out one day. Oh gosh, how do they choose who's next to go from the DR? So it plays a factor. Majority of the time, it's the victims' families that push, especially if they have money. It not always. Life does not always mean life, because people have had life and they've come out. You don't know how the system works. You get a life without parole and you could come out in 40 years. Yep. Yep. Because of what James said whilst he was high. Because James said the F word. In the UK, if you have a life sentence, it's at minimum at 25 years. Yes, you can get out of LWOP through appeals. And then usually if you do it after a certain amount, the parole board can potentially give you clemency. Well, give you parole. No, 15 is for it's 15 years minimum for GBH, not GBH, manslaughter. 15 years minimum for manslaughter. 25 minimum for murder. But in the UK, it's very hard. In the UK, it's very, very hard for you to get a murder charge. Majority of the time, you are convicted with manslaughter. Thank you, Stephanie. Yes. Yes. So in the UK, so this is how it works in the UK, right? In the UK, when somebody is unalived in a scene, in a crime scene, they always start with M. They start with murder because somebody unalived, right? What happens then is there is 2 legal testings that you have to prove. Yeah. So there's 2 legal testings that you have to prove when an unaliving happens in a criminal case. One is the mens rea, which is your intention to end a life. And the other one is the actus reus, which is the action, which is the unaliving. The actus reus is always proven because somebody passed away. However, no, we don't have capital in the UK. However, the hardest thing to prove is the mens rea. So the intention, did you intend to unalive somebody or did you intend to harm somebody and in the midst of harming them, they passed away? That's manslaughter. So majority of the time, people end up with manslaughter because it's not easy to prove that that person was intending to end a life. Yes, but in the US, apparently they can prove it, which doesn't make sense. So there's like there's a big legal testing in criminal law. Criminal law and evidence is the hardest. Like if there's anybody that knows law, they would know criminal law and evidence is the hardest module to pass. You will pass it, but it's the hardest module to get a very good grade. Because evidence is not simple. Like even when we learn about, so when it comes to evidence, we will learn about confessions, right? And we were taught from the beginning, if a defendant confesses so easily, you never take that by Bible because you still can go to you can still go to law school, Kendra. Oh, thank you, Rachel. Sorry, guys, if you don't want me to, do you guys mind if I'm teaching you guys? Oh, I'm sorry to hear. Girl, do you know what age I went to law school? 27. Thank you. So yeah, so this is the thing, right? In the UK, majority of the time they get manslaughter because there's a difference between, so for example, James's case would have been manslaughter in the UK because, or it would have been, or James would most likely not even got manslaughter. He would have got what they would call for being there with it depends your defense as well. Minimum term means that you get given a sentence and then they will tell you you need to complete at least a certain amount of time and then you can apply for parole to be released. So a minimum, you have to, you have to complete a minimum before you can apply for parole. Brody got life and wasn't the perpetrator. If you're black in the UK, you don't get manslaughter. It depends, because then again, like I said, the whole point of getting the M charge is based on if you can prove that you intended to unalive somebody. That's what I'm saying. Manslaughter is intending to hurt somebody, and in the midst of hurting them, they were unalived. Murder is that you have proven that you intended to end a life. But it all depends on how your defense team is, because remember, it is for but this I'm saying to you, you have to remember, it's not the defense's job to find the evidence. I will definitely look into it. I'll definitely look into it. It's not it's the prosecution's job to look for evidence, not the defense. Because the prosecutor's going against the defendant in order to prove the charge. So in the UK, if it was an accident and you ran over somebody, generally that would be manslaughter and reckless driving. See, the US and the UK is different, because in the US you have federal crimes and then you have... It's so complicated in the US. You've got federal crimes and then you've got state crimes. You have felony crimes and you have misdemeanors. It's very, very different. There you go. Of course, that Texas will take it to one extreme to the other. Right. So that's why I'm saying another thing with the death penalty that is wrong, right, is the fact that if you can't pay for a private defense team, you are pissed. I'm not even going to lie. I feel sorry for people that cannot afford private defense, because not many of the state... Does the UK have a prosecutor? We have a prosecution team, but we don't have DAs. I have finished law school. We don't have DAs. We don't have governors. We don't have general attorneys. We just have a prosecution that works for the UK, for His Majesty. We have the defense, which is a pro bono majority of the time. And then we have the judge. No one in the UK is appointed by a governor, because we don't have a governor. You have to work hard for these roles. We are very different in the UK compared to the US systems. And we don't have state crimes and felony crimes. We only have just UK common law. That's it. We're very different. Very, very, very different. Don't get me started with Hot Wheels. I emailed him actually today. Yeah. Tony Carutha, what made you study the DP? Because I don't know. It's interesting because I've been watching these programs about the DP from a very, very young age, probably like when I was 14, 15, right? And I didn't like, and then I've also, how long did it be? I am not a solicitor. I'm not a solicitor. yeah, so I have been interested in the DP, but I've always been into human rights from a young age. In general, if we're going to speak in totality, I've always been against racism and oppression. I'll be honest with you, right? I wanted to work for the UN. My dream was to work for the UN, for the United Nations, to tackle, it was either to tackle women abuse, oppression against women, or the death penalty and racism. It so happened to be that, but for me, but as I grew up, I wanted to be a doctor, guys. I always say this, I became a law, I went into law by accident. My story is crazy. I didn't even apply to go do law school. I went to school. Thank you. I went to school to do human resource management. That's what I went to school for. It was a lecturer that said to me, "You're in the wrong degree." Thank you, Anna. Thank you. I love it because the trolls have left me alone today. Hallelujah, because they were attacking me like crazy earlier. People don't understand there's so much to learn about, and that's the problem in social media. People want to hear drama, they want to hear gossip, they want to hear craziness, right? Thank you, Lacey. They want to hear the craziness, and they want to troll you and attack you, but people don't realize like there are bigger problems in this world. And that's what pisses me off. Like, I'm a very open person and I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to speak things. I cannot lie about the case because let me tell you something about law, right? If you lie about something, best believe they will come and dig it out and tell the truth. You will, in law, if you are in law, you will always be baited out. You will always be exposed because that's why I don't bother lying. I don't bother exaggerating the story. I don't bother doing any of that. Because I promise you, if you do in law, if they can find... Oh, thank you. In law, they will find your dirt. Don't mess around. Like, people want to hear the gossip, the dramas and all that stuff. It's not about that, I promise you. This is disgusting. Like, people are being like, racism is big and people just ignore it because they want to hear the next TMZ. Like, there's bigger problems in this world. Oh, enjoy the peach cobbler. I spoke to James every single day. I spoke to James every single day for 6 hours a day. I would go see James, and then as soon as he would go back to his cell and I would get in the car, he would call me. That's how obsessed me and my husband were with each other. There was no way, like, every opportunity, the whole time his phone was open, we was on the phone. Everybody knew who I was on the phone to. The only person that rang my phone was my husband. You can challenge the guilty verdict, but you can't retrial because he's not alive. Thank you. I'm really trying not to sleep because at this time I go to sleep, wake up at 10, 11 o'clock, and then I'm up all night. Yes, we are challenging it. Yeah, because they were fighting not to make it public. Like, it was just a lot. So his cousin James knew that his cousin planned the robbery, but he didn't know that his cousin was going to try and he was going to end somebody's life. No, he didn't know. Because let me tell you something, if James knew, he wouldn't have been involved. I can promise you right now. James, I can tell you right now. I always used to say to James, your mouth gets you into trouble, because you're not the kind of guy that will do stupid stuff like that. Like, my husband, his mouth got him into trouble. Not his trigger finger. Oh yeah, he did. My husband his mouth got him into trouble. And he always knew that. Yeah, he was a wordsmith. Caitlin, I can't even say when I finish grieving. I know I'm going to grieve for the rest of my life, but I'm hoping that once I get some strength back, I will focus on my legal career and then focus on James's case. I'm always going to be fighting for James. Oh my God, I am tired. I am so tired today. How are you? Sorry, Kristen. I'm so sorry. Oh, Toria, may God bless you. I wish we never had jury anywhere in court. Netherlands are smart people. I lost my partner 2 years ago. Cancer, not the same. I'm sorry to hear, my darling. How are you sleeping, if at all? My sleep is all over the place. Oh, yeah. Listen, I truly believe, yes, I will prove, I'm going to fight to prove his innocence. I truly believe that the jury is just wrong to have, because the jury, thank you, Manda. Oh, hi, Manda. The jury has no, so can you imagine, right? We go to school for law for years, right? We learn these legal testings, we learn these principles, these procedures, these laws, these case laws. We break our neck learning these laws, and we're trying to explain years worth of studying to 12 people who either don't give a crap to be there, who have no interest in the law, who are either too emotionally invested in a case and not looking at it the legal way, who are just there because it's the way of not going to, like, not having to go to work. That's the way out, and they still get paid for it. These people have no idea of the law, what I'm trying to say. Long story short, right? And you're trying to tell them years worth of studying, of knowledge on how to give somebody a guilty charge. When we are always taught, we have an ethics class, right? And we are always taught the law comes before your morals, your beliefs, and your emotions. It's the law above all things. So whilst we are being taught to serve the law and to provide the law, the legal knowledge, these people that are sitting in the jury don't even know that. Thank you. I've seen drawers fall asleep. I'm sorry, Marie. Aaron? Who's Aaron, honey? Thank you, Shannon. Hej, och till chock, kalza efturen, chiki böf, kalza efturen, tani ta fol mina kushashkosh. Hayde, kalza efturen. I have never spoken to Aaron. I have no business to speak to Aaron. Aaron can keep his mind and himself and his wife and his family wherever in Texarkana he is. He's not my business. Und kalza efturen, etani fol mina. Kalza chiki böf, kalza efturen. På skiböf. Jag har problem med skiböf. Stay in the fight. See, we have so much good to do. I'm proud of you. We'll take the fight to them. Thank you, Josh. Yeah. They didn't even look at the documentary. We had to send that to the parole board. They didn't even look at it. They just copied and pasted. No. Like, they didn't even have a box for yes. They just put no, decline, and then no. Decline for reprieve, decline for clemency, no. And they just copied and pasted. There was not even a box for yes. So and you definitely know they did not even look at it. And that's what happens a lot, is that judges, like, if they see a name, because that's what they do, like, that's what they genuinely do in courts. Like, if they see their name and they don't like it, yeah, right? It's like, it happens a lot. That's why I'm saying a lot of people don't have the knowledge of what really happens in the, like, that's why if you look at a lot of cases, right, they won't even look at it. They will just stamp it and say procedurally barred, or they will say abuse of writ without explanation, because they've not even read it. They haven't even read your petition. Thank you. God will deal with Demarius. Och kalza efturen och shake kalza efturen på skiböf. Чка по nervozohash, чка tkadjet kalza efturen apo tutasha. Skiböf med kalza efturen e kursie. Skiböf chatan. I feel like the government just has a big pile of paperwork sitting in the Of course. Do you remember what the first phone call was with James? Yes, of course. Of course. So much excitement, so much laughter, so much smiling, so much, oh my God, I can finally hear your voice. Thank you, Amy. Yeah. Yeah, he is, but it's okay. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was so easy. Like, we spoke every single day. He would call me at 2:30 every single day. We'll be on the phone till 8, when they will stop his phone. And then, yeah, it was chill. It was so easy. Like, it did take a little while to have my phone number registered, but for it to be approved. But other than that, no. I remember right now the first time I received his call. I even knew when he was going to call me. We used to hate the 2 to 8 calls. We used to hate them. And then sometimes Securus wouldn't work. It will go down for hours. Yes, it is. It's about hours. Well, hours was expensive because we'd be on the phone the whole time. So it'd be like $20 to $25 a day. Securus is a pain in the butt. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with them again. I'm not sure about the UK. Honestly, I don't know. JPay, you can still use JPay in Texas, but everybody now focuses with Securus in Texas. Oh no, Texas has Securus. $4 months? When we got into a relationship, that's when we started calling. Yeah. You have to remember, like, people don't understand that James and I really took our time before we even got serious, because it was a lot. Like, he would worry about me being with someone that's on death row. I was kind of like, we spoke about it a lot before we made the big moves of ever thinking to get in a relationship, or even like, because we knew once the phone calls get involved, that's when things get deep. You're on the phone to each other for hours. Oh, look how peaceful it is when you're not trolled. I'm really trying not to go to sleep. And I would see him often. I would go see him every few weeks. Last year I spent 3 months, and then I spent 2 weeks, and then I spent 3 months. So it's like I spent a lot of time. I'm exhausted mentally. I have searched Darlie. I've searched so many people's cases. My gosh, I've searched so many people's cases. Marie, when I tell you I am exhausted mentally, physically, spiritually, like I've never experienced exhaustion with my life. My hair's thinned so much that I'm having to cut it because it's just, what am I doing to take care of myself? Sleeping. Thank you, my darling. Even my Botox is starting to like, thank you. Thank you so much. I just sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep and cry and cry and cry since the trolls are not there anymore. Honestly, like I said yesterday, I had a breakdown. Oh, I love LA. Thank you. I don't ever see myself being in a relationship. Like, I was thinking about today how James will always be the last man I've ever kissed. And I never ever want anyone else to say, like, I don't even like, you know how it's nothing wrong with like hugging a friend or whatever. I don't even want to hug people because I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't feel right. So it's like, yeah. Girl, keep on fighting to change the death penalty laws, please. I'm with you in every aspect of that fight. If you guys have to throw me on the fire to fight that fight, I will be there at the fire. Oh, bless you. Sorry, may I come up? What do you mean? Guys, let me tell you something. I am that kind of person. If you want to throw me in the fire to fight against, yeah. Yeah, of course. In a box. What does that mean? Sorry, I don't understand this TikTok lingo. I apologize. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Hey, sweet girl.
Hi. Oh, you got such a nice
First and
voice.
foremost, want to say I'm so sorry.
And a dog.
Sorry, my dog is tripping out today. I first and foremost want to say I'm so sorry. So we currently advocate right now. We have another two men that are like James. That they tried to put to death one the other day and it failed, and the second one they're going to execute December. And so we're fighting right now to change the death penalty laws across the nation because you should not be able to convict somebody off of circumstantial evidence. You should be able to stand in a courtroom and say that you have DNA, you have ballistic reports, you have forensic reports to convict somebody.
Correct, 100%. And I think this is one of my biggest problem with the death penalty is like, okay, even though I'm absolutely against it, if you're going to keep the death penalty, at least let it be in a fair trial and let it be certain and 100%. We need a fair trial.
That's our point right there. That's our point.
From the minute the defendant goes into the county jail, before we even get to the trial process, it is the duty of care for the police officers and the detectives to protect these men because they are innocent until proven guilty.
That's right? Facts. Yes.
And you have a duty of care to these people from the minute they are booked in and then up until trial. It is for the prosecution's job to find evidence against them, but you have to do it fairly. That's why we have the amendment of a fair trial.
That's facts. And it takes an army.
There we go. And the problem is it's also the lack of finances for defense teams.
Yes.
Public defenders, because they get paid like what? A couple thousand for a massive job that really should cost you up to $1 million, right? Because these trials, capital murder trials, like, you know, prosecutors get up to millions of dollars if they win a case, if they send somebody to death row. So it's like, but then you're going against a machine that has the finances. Whereas as a public defender, you don't even have enough money for a PI, a private investigator.
You don't get a fair chance with a public defender because the public defender, you may spend $15,000, but when your life is on the line, being convicted on death row, those cases typically are anywhere from 200,000 to $1 million. Like you said, they charge way more. And it should not. I'm totally against it for the simple fact, like you have people out here that are murdering their children, and they get lesser sentences than that. And you take innocent people who are fighting for their life on death row, who is sitting on death row for many years for something that they could never prove in court.
100%. I would like to mention something as well that people don't know. Tanner Horner, one of the reasons why he got the death penalty was because his case became public, nationwide case. If Tanner Horner was not a nationwide case and he pleaded guilty, he would have done life without parole. That's a fact.
Oh, yes,
That
and
is
then
an
treat them
absolute fact.
differently. We were just talking about the other day, we were covering the Tony Carruthers case out of
Yes.
Tennessee. His execution failed because the doctor couldn't find a vein.
Yes. I remember
And
I searched into it.
we were fighting that. So we're also fighting another friend of his who is in there with him, Gary Wayne Sutton.
Yes. I researched
Yes.
him the other day.
Yep, he is in there and he is getting executed December the 3rd. However, we're trying to push and make noise on social media for them to change the laws regarding death penalty, because you should never feel in a courtroom that you do not have a fair chance at a fair trial. And they're basing it off of circumstantial evidence or snitch witnesses. That doesn't count. You can't do that to people, and you can't sit here and convict them based off of somebody else's word, or you can't convict them based upon circumstantial evidence that has zero weight in the judicial system.
100%.
I feel
I'm
like
to
if
get my
you're going
charger.
to convict somebody
Yeah.
and you're going to 100% convict them, then you better be able to stand in court and show the proof, show the DNA reports, show the ballistics. Here's how they did it. Here's how we know why. That's not happened. And I watched your husband. Is it your husband?
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched his case just a few weeks ago when it happened, and I watched James's case, and I was screaming from the rooftops that Texas law needs to change. It all needs to change. Nobody should ever feel like this. It is harsh. It is cruel punishment.
It is. It is. And this is another thing that I'm so against, right? Yes, these crimes and these cases, obviously there is an unalivement of somebody passes away, because we wouldn't be here if somebody didn't pass away. However, it frustrates me, and people are like, but how can you not have emotion? The law does not count emotion. However, when there's emotion involved, there's politics gets involved, right? And I truly believe, and maybe people will disagree with me because a lot of people disagree with this. I truly believe that if we're going to get a case involved, we can't bring emotion in the courtroom. We just can't. Because the problem is now you're putting 12 people on the jury who are looking at horrendous crime scenes. They're looking at autopsies. They're looking at very heavily emotional based information that even in James's case, the juror, Elaine Clements, said to us, once we saw the interview, the rant, she called it the rant, we didn't listen to the rest of the evidence, because they kept replaying that interview, which they knew he was high, but they didn't even tell the jury that he was high in those interviews. They told him that they told him that this is who his character is. And they also
they tried
put a
to paint him as
psychologist.
a monster, and they
Yes.
failed to shed light on that. I have to say it at a differently, like drugs or alcohol play a big factor into that. And what they should have done was first, they should have literally said, okay, we have to consider the fact that drugs and alcohol played a big factor into this. And into his words, because the interview, I felt like when I saw James in the beginning, when he first come out and said, hey, it was me, he was he was taking the fall. He was taking the fall for somebody else, because he knew that in today's society that he was being protective of was it his cousin? I don't want to say it wrong.
His cousin. Yeah. Their mothers are sisters.
Yes. His cousin. And he never got the fair chance to say, look, I was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. I was protecting the other person, because if you look at him in the interviews, you can obviously tell by the body language that he was protecting someone else.
And he was high on PCP. But do you know what's so crazy? He started saying, after he sobered up, he kept telling them, I never did it. I never did it. And they kept telling him, be quiet, because they're going to use the video against you. And even after he got given the guilty verdict and sent to death row, he still kept saying, I never did it. I never did it. But they were telling him, well, it's too late now because of the interviews that you did. And even the cousin kept saying, James didn't do it. I do it. But with the cousin, he was terrified that, because they kept threatening that they were going to give him the death penalty. So it's like the whole thing in that case was crazy, because
and the cousin even come out and said he did it, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the judge in the CCA, in the Criminal Court of Appeal in Texas, she said, "Well, he didn't recant it, so it's not good enough." She didn't even mention the DNA in the
Of course,
refusal.
they didn't want to mention the DNA because they didn't want to have to pay the money that they spent. The reason why they didn't want to look at James's case and they didn't want to redo his case is because then there would be a lawsuit over their head for wrongfully convicting him in DP.
Yeah. And when we had that conversation about a retrial, they were told automatically that those interviews will not be admissible in court. So they knew that that was the only evidence they had. And that if they were to put this trial back in court in 2026, they knew that those interviews will not be admissible in court. They would have had nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
They would have had nothing and it would have proved his innocence. And that's why they didn't want to do it, because in these states, and the problem is, and I have such a horrible time with it, is because they want to use things as oh, well, he said this or she said this. That shouldn't matter in a death penalty case. When you are facing your life on the line, you should look at the facts and you should go back and review it and look at it again, because court transcripts don't lie.
Thank you. I've got the whole I've got over 1,000 pages of court transcripts in my bedroom. Like, I've gone through those transcripts for 2 years, back to back to back. I've seen, like I've told everybody, I've seen pictures of the crime scene. I've seen the autopsies. I've seen everything. And I remember when I remember when I saw the interviews at first, in law school, we're always taught in the UK, because I don't know about the US anymore. In the UK, we've always been taught, if a defendant admits to something so willingly, you never take that. Why are they admitting so willingly? You always question, why are they so easily? Because usually people that do commit it, at first they deny it until they're cornered with evidence. So the question is, why are you admitting it so easily? And we were told, never take that as evidence. It doesn't hold weight. You have to investigate it, why he's admitting to something so easily. So, and then I remember James was like, listen, I need you to get transcripts. He got his lawyer to send me it was such a big transcript. They had to send it to me in like old style flash drives, that because it was such a heavy thing. And I remember going through the DNA and I'm like, hold on a minute, excluded. And I remember I went to see him and I said, you didn't do it, did you? And he just smiled. He goes, thank God you saw it. And I'm like,
And
so
see,
why the heck did you take the blame?
I guarantee you, they never mentioned how the fact that his DNA was not linked to the crime scene.
They mentioned it briefly. Because they didn't, apparently they didn't focus on the DNA, because they knew that if they focused on the DNA, the jury will then question everything. And they went as far as, the only thing that they found DNA on was a pair of sneakers, and they tried to say, but they hid the size of the sneakers. So imagine this, right? James was wearing feelers, and he's a size 12. I've got his sneakers in my suitcase, I can show you. And what they did was they found James's DNA, Damaris's DNA, and like multiple people's DNA on these pair of Nike sneakers, but they failed to mention, they removed the part where it said it's size 10. So they try to say, oh, look, there was DNA of James. And there was like, what's the statistics of the loci? And he said 1 in 84,000 for James, but for Damaris is 1 in 1 million. So meaning that those are definitely Damaris's sneakers. So what they tried to do is they hid the size.
James's DNA. He could have easily gotten James's DNA on it if he was with him. All you have to do is touch somebody and you're going to get DNA.
But they were failing to mention that the sneakers were a size 10 and not a size 12. Do you know what I mean? Like, they tried to say that they were James's sneakers, but they didn't put the size on there, because if they knew it was a size 10, they would have said, hold on a minute, they wouldn't even fit him because he's a size 12.
Right.
So they couldn't compare it. Yeah. So it's like, way they did it, and then obviously the racism in the court was bewildering. The stuff, the vocabulary they were using, the terms they were using, the prosecutor, being a black man himself, knew what to say and how to say it to a white jury, right? And the way, because like I said, they even put a psychologist on the stand that never met James, but he used statistics to determine that James was a psychopath.
And I'll tell you, and personally, this is my opinion and how I feel about things. I feel like they treat black men totally different than they do society, because they automatically are looked at like a criminal in the
Yes.
courts. And that's what happened with Tony the other day. People were just like, they were so disgusting commentary about how, oh, well, if you would have just done this a long time ago, we wouldn't be sitting here. No, it's the simple fact that you don't take the time to do your research and pull the trial transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
Those tell the truth. Those tell everything. Just like Gary Wayne Sutton's and Tony's, no DNA linked them to the crime scene. No ballistic report linked them. No nothing linked them to that crime scene.
A hundred
None.
percent. And that's what I'm sick and tired of. And when I had a conversation with, do you know what's so crazy? I called up because obviously we were telling everybody else to call up governor. So I was thinking, do you know what? Let me do the same. Let me be somebody that does it too, right? And I called up the governor, and
Yep, Monica, exactly.
his counselor was like, "Oh, we've been waiting for you to give us a call. We want to have a meeting with you." I was like, "Okay." So they booked me in for 12:15. They said, "Please," they gave me their direct number. I'm having a meeting with Trevor Easel, the counselor of Governor Abbott. And I know Governor Abbott was there too, because he told me that there was a conference call and everybody was listening. So I'm sitting there saying to them, like, look, they was like, what do you have to say about James's case? And I said, don't look at me as his wife. Look at me as somebody who's seen the facts of the case. I said, Demarius Cummings has written and also done a recording of confessing of the crimes. If we came to you with just that confession and no, wait, I'll put my hands up and say, do you know what, my husband, I can't help you, right? But we came to you with weight, and we came to you with evidence that James didn't do it because there's DNA that matches to Demarius. And all Trevor Easel kept saying to me, he goes, Tiana, I can't do nothing about it. It's up to my boss. It's up to my boss. And he was telling me how he finished law school in England as well, in Oxford University. And he just kept saying to me, I can't, it's up to him. It's up to him. So I emailed him today because I said to him, I'm appalled at the fact that somebody like Whitaker, look at Thomas Whitaker, who did commit the crime, who did unalive his mum and his siblings. He got clemency because his dad apparently begged for clemency for his son. Whereas, what about James? What about all these men that have evidence showing that they didn't commit the crimes?
Oh yeah, and exactly. And that's why we are stressing it to every sorry, I got a phone call.
That's okay.
We stress to everybody, do your own research. Do a FOIA request under the Freedom of Information Act and look at the facts of the case, not look what Google says or what media outlets say. Look at the facts, and you will see the court transcripts don't lie. The testimonies don't lie. The witnesses don't lie. All of that is played a huge role into every one of these cases. And the problem is it takes an army to fight it. It takes an army to fight nationwide to have our laws changed, that you cannot stand in a courtroom and convict somebody on circumstantial evidence.
100. And you know that after our first habeas petition, they were hiding the list of where they highlighted every black person to remove from the jury, and they only released it years later. And then when we took it to court, the court was like, well, it's too late now.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't want to have to go back and do their job. They didn't want to have to go back and review anything, because they knew, they know in cases like this where they wrongfully convict somebody, that's $1 million lawsuit.
100%.
That is a huge lawsuit on their state.
And then they tried to say, well, it can't be racist because the prosecutor was black. Well, that was the whole point, because he knew how to use his race against a black boy. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
So
he
it's
did.
like, it's James's case was textbook misjustice, not had a fair trial. It was completely wrong. And they knew if we had a retrial, like you said, it will cost millions. They will look stupid and it will be completely wrong. So that's why when Tony got his stay, I cried. I cried so much. I'm not gonna lie. I was so it triggered me, because I'm like, I know what it is to be in that gurney. Like I don't know exactly how it is to be physically in the gurney, but what I saw with my own two eyes, it was fear in a man's like they let me tell you, let me describe it to you, right? To put a big man in a man, a grown man who is a man, men are known to be physically strong, you know, to strap them in that gurney and to strip them off their manhood, to strip them off their dignity, to strip them off that strength that they have, and to be poked around and to and be ready to be killed. I watched my husband, who was 6'2", 190 pounds, a strong mentally man, cry and have fear in his eyes, and I couldn't do nothing.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't do nothing, and
no, you
that
can't do
kills me
anything.
till
And,
this
and
day.
imagine that. It makes you physically ill because one, you know they're innocent. Two, you know that they don't care about those inmates. They don't care. They're treated like animals. And animals are treated better than they are. In the days leading up, people don't realize it, how they're treated 2 weeks prior to an execution. They're lucky to get 2 meals. Two
Yes.
meals. They're lucky to receive 2 meals. Sometimes it's one leading up to their execution. And you've got people out here, literally, we worked on a case back in November where the mother unalived her child and cut her baby from her stomach and unalived that baby.
Oh, I heard about that case. Yeah.
Yes, the Rebecca Parks case out of
Yeah.
Michigan.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yes, if it wasn't for this group on TikTok here, she would have never been arrested. We called the police department umpteen times. She was in our box talking to us on TikTok. And we said, that girl is out there. Go look for her. She's out there.
Yeah.
Sure enough, they found her behind her mother's house. And guess what? They don't have DP in their state. So she'll probably get 25 to life or life in prison.
Yeah. And she'll probably
But you
do
got people out here that are spending time on death row that are completely innocent because of a crime back in the 90s where they failed to do their job. That's not our fault. That's not the inmate's fault.
And then there's the politics. There's the elections. There's when I went to Dallas County criminal court, right? I knew one of the ADAs because he approached me and he told me loads of stuff. And then I went back in December, and then I went back in just the beginning of April. And I said to him, "Hello, what's going on?" And he said, "Look, it's not even about his innocence anymore. It's about politics." The DA of Dallas just lost his election. And at this point, I don't even know if I have my job because I need to run back in there because they've called an emergency. Thank you. They've called an emergency meeting.
Yep.
And I'm like, bro, we need to do something. We need to do something. Like, he can't be killed. A Dallas defense team call me upstairs and they're like, we know Dallas messed up, but we can't even go against Dallas because we're going against our own selves. So I'm like,
Oh,
so
yeah, it's
what
all
can
the
be done?
politician world. Yep.
So what can be done? And they're like, it's a bit hopeless right now. But you keep on fighting. And I'm running up and down like a maniac. And nobody was listening. You don't understand how hard it was. Because I'm that kind of work. I was that kind of person. I walked into those DA's offices. I walked in and I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yep.
And they're like, it's just about politics. The elections went wrong. Greg Abbott is going against the Democrat.
And they don't
Tina.
care. They don't care. Those inmates are nothing. Those
Nothing.
inmates are treated as another person that was unalived by the state. That's all they're treated as. And it's sad enough that it takes a village to scream it from the rooftops. When I tell you that I have been showing my ass on social media about it, because the minute your husband was the first one that I saw, and then it was Tony, and then Gary Wayne, and we've been fighting for Gary for over 6 months now. Literally, they were told by the governor that they would review his case. Guess what? They haven't. They haven't.
They won't.
They haven't. They don't care. It's about the next best thing. It's a politician's world. And none of those inmates matter at that point. But if people start advocating and screaming and you reach out to your senator. Sorry, my dog is barking.
okay.
She sees another dog outside, so she's having a meltdown.
It's okay. Thank you. Oh,
But no, like, you begin to fight it, reach out to your senators, reach out to the Senate, tag them and post on a daily basis. That's what I've been
we
doing. I've
had
been tagging the White
legislators.
House.
We had legislators, we had everybody speaks to Greg Abbott, we had legislators, we even had Republicans tell them stop the execution and review the new evidence. But then we come to find out that, unfortunately, I have to say it, the victims' families started paying Ken Paxton.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, all these endorsements started coming.
And that's what I say. That's why it takes a village, because when you start spreading lights on all these towns, guess what? You're striking some egos. And they don't like it.
100%.
They don't like it. And I'll be the first to strike the ego, because it's got to change. We have to change the fact, because how would they feel if it was their family member sitting in the same position? I guarantee you they would get a pardon.
Oh, yeah. But they always reply back with, well, it would never be our family member. And I told them, how? How do you know that? How do you know that?
You don't know that, because your family member could make a decision or be at the wrong place at the wrong time and be charged for something that they didn't do.
And that's the thing, it's people don't realize that the death penalty is actually a very big issue. And it's coming to a point that for many years, yes, it's been happening, but it has not been as public knowledge as it's becoming the last year, especially with DeSantis and his slaughter. I truly believe that DeSantis, being a veteran and going to wars, I truly believe that this addiction to execute is a mental health illness. Because I cannot trust a man who went to wars and he's definitely got PTSD from seeing what happened in the wars, and also participating in unaliving in the war.
Facts.
And you've now been given a big role and you're just executing people that quickly. Why? Because you want to feel power, because you want to feel ego. DeSantis does it for egotistical reasons. He does not do it for any other reason. There's no way you can tell me that he does it for to justice, as they try to say it. Another thing is, the death penalty does not deter murder. It just does not do it. It's never done it. It will never deter it. It's not caught. And my question is, and this is my biggest question, is why are you so adamant to kill them if they're not going to come out of prison anyways?
Yep.
What difference does it make? They're still in. They're not coming out. So what are you worried about? Oh, but they need to come out this world because they're a big danger. But how? Because they're not coming out anyways. So why are you so
not coming out? And how are you going to enlist them as a danger when you've never done your research and never read the facts and never looked at the case? Because if you look at a case for 5 minutes and you start reading through those transcripts and you actually take that time to do that, then you're going to understand that everything in that courtroom was demolished because it could be debunked.
Nicholas Cruz, what was it? The school shooter. 14 people, including children and teachers. He was supposed to get the death. He fulfilled every circumstance to the death penalty. He's doing life without parole because they said he had a mental health illness. This young little boy, white boy. You can't find transcripts. It's very hard to find the transcripts online. The official transcripts, you have to, only legal teams have them. Even that guy, what was his name? I always forget his name. That last year in the winter, he went into that cabin or something and he unalived 4 students. He pleaded guilty, got life without parole.
So did something go wrong with James's execution?
So what happened was, James and I were talking the whole time. And in the midst of James, when he said his statement, James started speaking to me. And whilst he was speaking to me, his neck went back and he groaned. He's like, do you know when somebody punches you in the stomach and the way he, like that's how, because his head, I will never forget, he goes, ugh, and then he drops. And then whilst he dropped, that's when I started screaming, open your eyes, I love you, whatever. And then they said to me, I have to watch him. And then obviously his lips went blue, his face went blue, his veins started coming out. So you could see he was suffocating. And he was going into cardiac arrest. And then when I went to see him, obviously when they covered him and whatever, when I went to see him, he had a nosebleed and then he had bruises and like it looked like somebody grabbed a baseball bat and smacked him on here because he had a swollen neck. I've got pictures of it now, and his ear was completely blue. both his arms were bleed, like there was so much blood. I've got pictures of that too. And then, which was weird, there was an IV
Yes.
slot on his leg, on his ankle, which I don't understand why they did the ankle as well. So I'm guessing they probably didn't try to find the vein and they tried to do it on his ankle. But yeah,
That
so
should have been a reprieve. If they tried too many spots, he should have gotten reprieve by the governor. Because that's the same thing with Tony. They tried it in both of his arms and then they were looking at his feet to try to find a place in his feet to put the IV and they couldn't. But he was pouring blood by the time that they got tried to find the second vein, and they had to call it off because the governor granted a reprieve because you can't do that. That is illegal to do that. And the state should, and the people should really look into the state because the state has also been giving expired medications to people. And that's the outcome of it. Just like you said with James, the outcome can cause so many different side effects and issues during an execution. And this is exactly why they should call it off for all states.
100%, because like when I spoke to, so James's lawyer called me the day that Tony got a reprieve, and I spoke to him, and I'm like, oh my God, why? Like, I wish James had the same situation. And his lawyer said to me, Tiana, Texas would have done it regardless. Vein or no vein, they would have found a way. And when I think about it
Yes.
now, because I got the funeral director to come with me to let me, obviously, we went through his body. Like, we looked at all his body when we went to view the body. And the funeral director was literally pointing out the places where, obviously, after you die, where the blood pools. He said those are because of his body's dead now. But these are the places where they injected him. And I'm like, but why on the ankle? And they was like, because probably they couldn't find the vein originally with. So it was like,
And so they didn't say anything and they continued it out. Therefore, that is illegal. That should have been a reprieve right there. He should have had a year stay.
there we go. They didn't even give us 30-day reprieve we requested. And now I understand why Texas won't allow you to go in the room whilst the IV's being inserted. So you have to wait downstairs while they're doing the IVs. There's no one, even the lawyer's not allowed to go. So Tony was absolutely blessed to be able to have somebody to say something, because they didn't allow nobody inside whilst they were strapping him in the gurney.
Is
And
there a way you can fight that now?
not really. This is the problem, is the fact that I kept saying stuff, but nobody was really taking me serious, because obviously the state media lied. So it's like, it's my word against them. And then there's no cameras in the death chamber. I've got
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
But they could say, well, we don't know what that could be. You know how they lie. They will try to say, oh, James did it to himself. So it's like,
Yeah, just like they tried to say Tony tried to dehydrate himself so that they couldn't do the IV. That was a lie. The doctor that did the IV hadn't done an IV in 13 years. 13 years.
I read that
came
too,
out
yeah.
yesterday, and they're going to ask the state to pause executions in Tennessee on Tuesday. And that's where we need to start. We need to actually get a hold of your UCLA of the state of Texas and have them to ask the state of Texas to pause all executions in general.
Yeah, do you know, so when James got his execution date in December, we were given the report that they had bought 5 lethal injections for the state. And that was in December. We have now reached to 8 executions, 8 execution dates altogether, including the ones that have already been executed this year. So they've clearly bought more.
Somebody asked in the chat, will they go ahead with Tony's execution? No, they had to stop it for a year.
Yes.
They had to stop it. And that's the thing. We need an army of people, because we have a huge advocates, but we need more people to help us reach these UCLAs of each state and ask of them to reach out to the state to stop all executions due to the protocols and procedures that they are using.
Right, 100%. People need to gather up, and when you look at the DPIC and many other statistical websites, they are saying that the younger generations are more against the death penalty than the older generations, especially those who are sitting in these seats, right? And I think people need to start speaking up now, because it's coming to a point where this is mass M. This is mass unalivement at this point. And it's getting too out of control. It's getting way, way, way out of control.
Yep. So Tony was, somebody asked in the comments, and I'm sorry, somebody
That's
asked who
okay.
Tony was. Tony was convicted of unaliving a couple people in Tennessee and burying them in a grave. But DNA shows that his DNA was not at that crime scene. There was no DNA to link him to it. And a matter of fact, there was new DNA, and they refused to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they went through with an execution, and it failed.
I was so
So therefore, I think everybody should gather on behalf of James and everybody else and reach out to the UCLA of every state and demand change nationwide. Tony did not admit. Tony stood on his innocence.
What was my question? Tony does not have law. Was there any parties, any co-defendants in his case?
Yeah, they charged him. But they refused to look at the new DNA because the new DNA stated that it was somebody else who committed the crime, and I think even had come forward and later recanted the statement, and they still refused to test the new DNA.
Yeah,
The state said that they would not step in, and neither would the Supreme Court.
Of course they will. Oh, the Supreme Court, meaning the U.S. one or the
U.S. Supreme Court of Tennessee.
Yeah, of course they won't. Governor Lee, was it Governor Lee?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're fighting for a man that was in the prison also with Tony. His name is Gary Wayne Sutton.
Yes, I've researched him the other day.
He's been in there since 1994. I have all of his court transcripts. I have everything. And even in Gary's trial, the prosecutor said, if we tried him by himself, we couldn't convict him because we have nothing. So we're going to try him with his uncle, and they got a death sentence for both of them.
That's what I'm saying. Whereas, like, in our case, co-defendant got life without parole and James got the death penalty. But he wasn't under the law of parties. So it's a lot. It's a lot happened. I'm not even gonna lie. You probably experienced it with Tony's case, but that thing that it drains you. Like, it drains you mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yes, because you're fighting. You feel like you're fighting so hard. Because we have been screaming about the DP in general for months, and it feels like you're fighting and nobody is listening to you, and it's frustrating.
Oh my, you know how I feel. Like, it's and we're fighting for lives. This is what I'm saying. We're fighting to save people's lives. And I'll be honest with you, I have the most deepest guilt in my whole entire life. Because it's like...
Because you feel like you can't do anything. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah, like, didn't I do enough? Like, didn't I... There's so many questions, like, what else could I have done? You know, I was glad that James's... Like, I pushed hard for James's case to become national and international, but clearly that was still not enough. And I'm like, we had legislators speak to the governor. We had so many people call the governor. We did everything and still nothing. And I think, I don't know, because I remember even with Tony, Governor Lee said that it's a she, right? I'm trying to remember at the top of my head. She said that she's not, it's a he, right? Sorry. Yep. I mistake Governor Lee with the other one. But he even said he wasn't getting involved. And I remember when I read that, I'm like, oh my goodness me, like, God intervene. And, you know, it's God's, it was just not his time to go. And God literally said, it's not your time. And and God had to intervene to stop it.
Do you know that morning, the other day, when we were watching for Tony, I said on live stream and I said, something's going to happen and he's not going to be executed and I'm going to pray for it. I pray that the machine breaks in that state today. And a few minutes later, everybody's like, oh, we're just waiting on a time of death. I said, you're not going to get a time of death because they're not going to execute him successfully. About an hour later, they came out and said that they failed.
Yeah.
trying to do that. And I was just bawling because I could just feel that in the state's case, you cannot, the way that they treat these men and treat these people, it is absolutely diabolical. And sitting, and you can't imagine for those inmates that know that they're innocent, sitting on death row just waiting for their time of death. They have a date. They know their date.
Like I will remember, I will never forget. I kept screaming to God. I kept screaming to God. I kept praying. And then when it happened, I was like, was you even listening to me, God?
Yeah.
Like, it's genuinely, I don't know. Like, for me, it was a lot. Um, I don't know. I'm like literally, for me, I'm still grieving it and I'm still going through it mentally. It's the worst thing I've ever experienced or seen with my own two eyes. I always say it was like a Final Destination movie. It's like I always say this, my brain couldn't comprehend what my eyes were seeing before me. Seeing him like that and seeing him die and then being forced to watch him for 21 minutes until they said time of death. Like, I get flashbacks every night. People don't understand. It's disgusting, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know. I genuinely don't know how to ever describe it.
Yeah, and you feel people don't understand that the loved ones of these inmates that know that they're innocent and know the facts and have the paperwork have to sit here and watch this go on. And they don't think that the people surrounding that is affected by it. They're highly affected by it. And that was your husband. That was the love of your life. And you're having to sit here and knowing that you've screamed out for years and months of trying to fight for justice and knowing that they're just going to carry through like nothing. They can go out and have a meal. They'll have lunch afterwards. They don't
You know,
care.
they had a party after, by the way, the state and the families. They had a buffet. You know that, right? And they had a countdown to James's execution day. And they created a website in saying horrible stuff about him. But if we were to do the opposite, we would look like the bad people. We were busy fighting. We didn't even know about this. People were telling me, and then I found the website, and even till this day, they celebrate his death. There was a party. There was a party after his execution. And it's like, and I'm sitting there because one thing I can tell you, right?
Facts, Amy.
So I have one thing I can tell you is I have seen, not seen, but I have heard when James used to speak to when James went into Death Watch, right? There was two other guys before him. There was Chuck, which was the guy that escaped prison, and I can't remember his name, Thompson. And then there was the other one before James, right? The guys that are guilty that did do these crimes, they pretty much are like, this is what they say, is exact words. They're like, bro, see you on the other side, right? And they give each other a tub of ice cream.
Oh
When they
yeah.
know that, but the guys that actually haven't done it, you will hear the cries of, I'm innocent, I haven't done this, I'm not ready to die. I watched my husband cry to me hours before his execution, cry and say to me, baby, I'm not ready to die. I didn't do this, baby. I didn't do this. Crying. I'm scared, babe. I'm scared. I didn't do this. I'm not ready to die. You know when someone's committed the crime, and you know when someone's not committed the crime and they're
No,
about to be
because
executed.
look at the state prisons for death row of serial unalivers.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the interviews that they've done with them. They will look you right in the face and say, I am where I am because I deserve to be here and I don't care. I don't care that I'm here. I don't care that I'm sitting here and I have a date. They don't care because they don't feel nothing.
Yeah, they're just like, I'm facing the
There are
consequences.
evil people out there that do deserve the to be behind prison bars. Of course they do. But you
100%.
take the people that look you right in the eye and say that they could murder 15 people and not care. That's somebody you know that is really screwed up. You know that is, and some of them even don't get DP.
And those guys are also paid by the CEOs to continue doing those unaliving in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because there was a case in Texas last year where the CEOs,
Exactly, Amy. Look at the guy, the D4VD, where he cut up the 13-year-old girl in his garage. And because he's a famous singer, bet
Or
he won't
even
get DP.
the four guys that unalived that rapper, they all got sweat equity, life without parole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they'll get life without parole, or they'll get
Julio, yeah.
25 to life consecutive sentence, which is
But
wild to me because you're out here convicting people of crimes that they have maintained their innocence on.
that's what I'm saying, and I think it's just at the end of the day, it's not proportionate, it's not fair, it's so broken, right? And it just fails. It fails. The legal procedure of the death penalty fails every single time. There. How do you pick and choose who should get the death penalty and who shouldn't? How do you pick and choose?
No, because there's more notorious unalivers out there that are walking these streets because of the person that they decided to take in was innocent, and you've still got people out here killing people.
Yep.
Come on. And they don't get that sentence. Like, it needs to change worldwide, and the change starts with the people, and the change starts with the voices screaming. And no
Amen.
matter how long it takes, I'm not ever going to give up. I'm still going to scream and change the laws, because the law should be applicable, that if you're standing in a courtroom, you be treated fairly and you get the opportunity at a fair trial, and you as a prosecutor should be able to stand in a courtroom and prove that the person did it. You should be able to hand the facts over, say, okay, we had 2 different types of DNA tested at this lab and this lab, and here's the results. Here is the ballistic reports, here's the forensic reports, and be transparent with the public.
And
Not
there's
some
none of that.
bullshit.
And there's none of that, because it's all a game for them. Because you have to, like, James's prosecutor, James's case made him so rich that he pulled back from his job.
Doesn't surprise me, not one bit. Doesn't surprise me, not one bit.
So it's just there's so much unfairness, and that's why I tell people. And the way it's crazy how the abuse that you get from people regarding the case. It's so crazy how people will like, there was a petition about executing me as well, but it made me laugh because I wasn't scared. I did not commit no capital murder for you to, I don't have a trial. I was not pleaded guilty or anything, but people did a petition that I should be executed as well. Like, people don't sit there to gain the knowledge that they should do. And that's what I'm saying to you. The death penalty is wrong in every factor. There's not one place where we can sit there and say the death penalty is good. There's no reason.
People are ignorant when it comes to, they'll read a Google article saying, oh, well, he did it, so that means he's guilty, he should be where he is. No, read the facts. Do your due diligence before making dumbass comments like that, and pull the paperwork yourself. All you have to do is submit a Freedom of Information Act, submit the case, get the documents, read through them yourself before forming your opinion that could be harmful to other people.
Do you know what's so crazy? Steve Pickett, he interviewed from NBC, he interviewed James back in 2008, right? And that was when James started crying. And he started breaking out of this false confession that he was doing, and he walked away. And so Steve Pickett tried to re-interview James back in January before the confession of the co-defendant came out. I told James we're not doing it. I said, I don't care who else comes to interview you. You are not, like, Steve Pickett's not going to be the first person you get interviewed by. So James declined him. Anyway, Steve Pickett didn't make a big deal about it. We left it as that. Then the co-defendant's confession came out. Steve Pickett went on TV, played his interview with James about 500 times, and turned around and said, James declined. We requested James to be interviewed by us, and he declined. Why didn't you say that back in January?
Right. Why didn't you mention that? Hold on a second, because I'm going to share this to some people. Hold on one second. I'm going to get them in here.
And by the way, James didn't decline because he didn't have nothing to tell. James was actually supposed to be interviewed by Dr. Phil, but the prison didn't allow it. So they allowed Steve Pickett, but they wouldn't allow Dr. Phil to interview him.
And why was that?
You tell me, because we don't know till this day.
Wild, isn't it?
Like, and everybody knows that Dr. Phil is one. He don't care whether you're telling the truth or not. Like, he will do his own research. And Dr. Phil was even sitting there saying James needs a retrial. Like, what the heck has happened in this case? But they don't care. The DA didn't want to be involved because he was in his feelings, because he lost his term. All of this crap, like, nobody cared. Like, in this, what frustrated me was nobody was caring about the facts. And then you had bless the families, but you had the families say, well, we've been promised that he's going to die. So no matter what happens, Ken Paxton promised us and we're going to get it. And I'm like, why are you so sure? How can you be so sure?
Because they already knew. They already knew. They already knew before they carried out James's execution.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew.
And they smiled. They smiled the whole time. They smiled and laughed the whole time he was being executed. He was dying. And they came out with glasses of drinks. We weren't even allowed to bring a water bottle in the death chamber, by the way. We weren't even allowed water in the death chamber. And they came out because I was told after, because I said to them, why? Like I said, I checked up and one of the defense team said, you know, they get given food and they allow drinks and stuff. And I'm like, but what about us? Like, imagine I needed water in there because they said to me, once you go in that death chamber and that door is locked, you can't come out of there unless there's an emergency or until they declare him dead. I needed water that day.
Mm-hmm.
I had a panic attack. Huh?
And imagine that they refused you, but everybody else is allowed to celebrate the moment. Make it make sense.
I had a manic attack. I fainted. Like, I could not, like, I needed water in that moment. I kept telling them my chest is hurting. And they're like, well, you need to sit here. You are not allowed to come out of here. You need to watch him. And as soon as they declared him dead and they put the sheet on his face, I said to them, you need to get me the F out of here now. And it was a police officer that she kept saying to me, Tiana, you're getting angry. I need you to calm down because I really want you to see your husband's body. Like, and literally, I don't know if you noticed on my TikTok page, the state media came out and said, yeah, he was quiet after his statement and he died peacefully. And then we had Dallas Morning News saying he did not die peacefully. He couldn't even finish his last sentence. And he groaned.
Yeah, because they were pumping the medications in him.
But can you imagine if we didn't have Dallas Morning News? People would have said, well, you're lying because the state media said he died peacefully. So it's like, how many executions have gone wrong and the media...
And how many executions are peacefully? Let's be real. How many executions in the world is peaceful? None of them. None of them are peaceful. Let's be so freaking for real.
But when they sit there and say the firing squad and the nitrogen gas is even more peaceful, in what world is it more peaceful? Please, how?
Yep. Chas, if you're in here, comment so I can see you. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. How is it peaceful when you are pumping medications in Chas? I wanted you to meet Chas. She works with me on a lot of different cases. Okay. This is the guy that I was telling you that was executed in Texas. This is his wife. And she's speaking about her experience.
Yes.
It's James Broadnax's wife. How long were you guys married?
So we were only married for 16 days, only because if I tell you what happened, we were supposed to get married last year, December, 4th of December, and they wouldn't let James get married. They kept saying to him, are you sure you want to get married? Why do you want to get married? And then they kept losing deliberately. They would leave the paperwork on the desk and we wouldn't get it on time because they knew that obviously I'm only there for a certain amount of time and I would fly back. And when I would fly back, they'll give him the piece of paper and say, oh, sorry, we forgot to give you the paper. And they did that to us 3 times. And then I had to go, I literally barged into the warden's, like, they wouldn't let me speak to the warden. So what I did was, I literally went to his office, and the warden was like, come sit down. And literally warden said to me, oh,
Hey, Jules.
I know it's like pulling teeth to get married. I said, warden, I've been a dental assistant and pulling teeth is even easier. I
I
said, what
see
is
some of
going
my
on?
people coming in. So, for all of you guys that are coming in that don't know this beautiful young lady, this is James Broadnax's wife. He was executed in April in the state of Texas, and she was fighting for him just like, you know, just like we're fighting for Gary and things, but he was executed. She talks about her experience and how the system failed him. It was basically his cousin had admitted to the crimes and they wouldn't use that and they failed to review that and carried out his execution. And they
Yeah.
failed her. And she talks about her experiences afterwards because they sat there and made her watch it and refused her water, but the people on the other side was allowed to party and have drinks and food and through a barbecue afterwards.
So I'm like, so they didn't allow us, and then obviously I made a massive complaint, and they said to us, well, do you know what? You can either get married 16 days or a week before his execution. And so we took that. We took that. Of course, we wanted to be married, and it was horrendous. It was horrendous. Like,
And she
it.
talks about how she has nightmares because they made her sit there and watch the full process.
I have flashbacks. Like, you know what I do is I generally would put on a show. Like, I try to keep myself busy, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
put TV on or something, and I've got ADHD, so I can't focus on one TV program. So I
Right.
will play games on my phone, right? And I'm sitting there thinking my mind's busy, and my mind will just, I will zone out, and I'll start seeing the execution, flashbacks of the execution, like I'm there. And I'll jump out of my bed and I'll start crying and I'll start shaking. And I'm like, oh my God, I actually have PTSD. Like, yesterday, all I did was hug his ashes, and I just cried. And I just cried. And I just cried. And it just doesn't make sense to me that that's his body in there. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's just crazy, like, having to, like, the way he groaned, the way he died, the way I saw him in there, and just how everything happened. I'm never going to be the same again. Like, I literally, I get anxiety attacks in my sleep, and I never knew that you could get anxiety attacks in your sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody's
I'm struggling to leave the house as well. Like, I forced myself to walk out the house today, and all I did was run to a store, and it was a store that I'm not familiar with, because obviously he would be on the phone to me consistently, and I would always be in the area. And I just couldn't take it. I can't go outside. I can't function properly. Luckily, when my daughter's with me, it's easier. She keeps me a bit busy, but even when she's at home, I have to stay so strong so she doesn't see it. And
yeah.
I'm never going to be the same. I sleep on the floor sometimes because I feel like I'm safe on the floor. And for some reason, any bed will go back to the gurney. So I feel guilt to sleep in a bed because he got killed in a bed, you know? And it just doesn't make sense. So I sleep in the front room on the floor sometimes. Or if I can, I've pulled out my sofa bed and I will sleep there. Like, I have not been in my bedroom.
Absolutely, Dream. These people are some of the people coming in. I know them, and they're absolutely wonderful advocates. They support everything. They're wonderful people. And I just want those people to know that they're coming in we're on True Crime Talk, so we do a lot of the talking, and we like I said, we advocate against things like this. So
Yeah.
um, she was telling me, guys, a little bit ago that, in his case is almost like Tony's, right? Like where she has the photos and things where they poked him in the arm, but then he had another poke in the feet, and his execution was never stopped, and he was pouring blood, things of that nature. It was never stopped. They didn't care. and the other parties were drinking and carrying out drinks and having a whole laughing and while the execution was going on.
So yeah, they had a countdown. So I'll be honest with you, it's like they ended one cycle and started a new one. And to the point that people were threatening me to shut my mouth, to not speak the truth. I haven't seen my biological parents in many years. They even found my biological parents and told them to tell me to stop posting things on TikTok about his case. It was just crazy. Like, they were trying to find ways to shut my mouth. And I said, I don't care. I don't care what happens. I'm still gonna speak. Do you guys think I've told Greg Abbott, I've told Ken Paxton, I've told everybody very publicly. If I've watched my husband get killed, you think I fear death? I don't fear death. I'm okay. Because for me, it's the hardest thing to see. And I can't even imagine what he went through. I can't even imagine the pain he went through. The potassium in that lethal injection is created to burn your veins, your arteries. It's created to destroy you.
Yeah. And you had to sit there and watch that. Of course, you're not going to be quiet. Like, do they really expect you to shut your mouth when your husband is literally dying in front of you innocently?
And they were angry at me. You know, they were angry at me because apparently the attention wasn't on the families. The attention was on me and James. And they didn't like that. The state and the families didn't like that because all the attention was on me and James. My husband's being killed. He's been unalived in there. What?
That is horrible. That is horrible.
Like, I can't help the way I reacted to that moment. But this is the thing, right? The problem is, and then do you know what they did? So Edward Busby was executed 14 days, I believe, after James, right? So the families of the victim, they managed to get one of these authors or these like publicists to go witness the execution and then publish an article that it was so peaceful. Because people didn't like that. People were questioning, is the lethal injection peaceful since James's execution? So they went above and beyond to get a publicist to publish, to go witness the execution and to say it was peaceful. Why'd you have to do that? If it was peaceful, why'd you have to go above and beyond to prove something?
An execution is not peaceful. It's not, nor will it ever be.
So it's consistent. It's just fraud. It's just complete lies and fraud. But do you know what? I always say this, right? Being in America and being around these people so much opened my eyes because, Dora, one thing I can tell you is, see these people that sit in these big seats. They are good analysts. They know the percentage of people that will support them. They analyze the public very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that these people that are for them will give their lives for these people that are in these big seats. So they don't have to say much. Why doesn't Greg Abbott say much? Why doesn't Ken Paxton say much? It's because the public speak for them.
Right.
And they know that. They're analysts. Even the administration. Why is it always on Twitter and on social media? Because he knows how to rage bait people. They are analysts. There's professional analysts of society.
Yes. And you're not wrong.
Because imagine nobody gave them no attention. Imagine they suffocated the attention away from them and nobody gave them 2 minutes of the day. They will suffocate. It's like feeding a poison fruit. It's like you feed it poison, it becomes more and more powerful. When you stop feeding it, what happens? It withers and it dies.
Yep.
So they know they've got enough people that will fight for these crazy stuff.
It is absolutely so sad because you feel, even though just witnessing, being there, knowing that James is going to be taken from you, and they make a mockery out of it. Like, are you absolutely out of your mind? Like, who celebrates that? Nobody wants to celebrate nothing because it's not cute. It's not funny. It's not, because if you really look at how they're treated, really research how they're treated 2 weeks leading up to their execution. They're lucky to get a meal a day. They're lucky to get 2 meals a day.
So I'll be honest with you, right?
They're treated like animals. Again, it's horrible.
I had this correctional officer DM me some disgusting stuff. I found out where he is a correctional officer. Do you know what I did? I emailed the warden of that prison and I emailed the ombudsman and I put the screenshots on there. And I emailed them and I said, then this is who you hire to be a correctional officer. And I sent them a very big legal email with all the screenshots. This guy, this correctional officer, was also was very racist on the comments on his Facebook, right? Like, he was super, super racist. So I screenshotted that as well. And I sent it to the warden and I sent it to the ombudsman. And I said, and this is who you guys hire as a correctional officer. How can you trust this man to be around inmates?
Yep, exactly. How do you think that they're going to treat those inmates?
Like, he's openly racist on social media. And yeah, like, I'll be honest with you, the stuff that I've seen, and me, I don't need to do the crazy stuff. I just need to do what I need to do, which is I need to start sending out emails, and that's what I do. I just start sending out emails because you can't ignore it. These emails have gone into the Texas Department of Correctional Justice. They've gone into a public forum. So now you cannot ignore these emails. But
Absolutely not. And we're here to help you fight. If there's anything I can do, let me know. If I need to send emails, if I need to call, make phone calls, I'll do that.
And do you know
100%.
what's, thank you so much. And do you know what's so interesting? So I came to find out, I thought that death penalty inmates that get executed, they do autopsies. Then all of a sudden I come to find out that they've never done autopsies on inmates that have been executed, right? So I by accidentally end up calling the TDCJ autopsy clinic, and I said to her, "Oh, don't they do autopsies?" And she said, "No." She was like, "I've been here for 10 years and I don't even know why they don't do autopsies. Like, we do autopsies on every other inmate that passes away, but they tell us that we're not allowed to do autopsies on inmates that have been executed." And she was like, literally, you know, she assumed that it was because there's a physician there. So I go pick up his death certificate, and obviously it says homicide. Cause of death is homicide. And I'm like, wow. And then they said to me, if you want to give him an autopsy, you have to pay at least about minimum $10,000. And I said to myself,
So they automatically don't even get an autopsy?
No, not in Texas. They've never received autopsies on inmates that get executed.
That's wild work.
And the lady, she said, I've been working in this, I've been doing autopsies for 10 years for TDCJ, and I still don't know why they don't do it on inmates that get executed in Huntsville. She assumed it was because there's a physician on the day he dies. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And they said, if you want to do it, you have to pay about $10,000 to do an autopsy.
That's wild. That is wild for the fact that you are going, yeah, because you know why? It's going to expose exactly what's in the medication that's getting injected. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments said, after how many days did James get cremated?
A week later. That was by our choice. Mine and James's choice.
That's why, because they don't want you to know the medications that's used. They like to say, oh, it's a phenobarbital. it's this, but when you get down to the facts of it, research it. Look at the shit that they use. Just like in Tony's case we were talking about, and guys in here, I did tell her about Gary Wayne. She knows Gary Wayne's story. She has researched it. She has seen him and Tony. With Tony's case, the doctor had not inserted an IV line in 13 friggin' years. And he failed to do so, which was the second poke, which what should have happened in James' case. James, when they did that central IV line into his arms, then they went to his feet because they couldn't find it. That should have been an automatic reprieve for James's case.
Yep. Yep. And that's the thing. So it's just, and you know what's so crazy?
Because you can make them bleed to death. That
course.
is a given fact. That is actually, if you look up the case of Tony's yesterday, that was filed in federal court yesterday. It was filed on Friday in federal court that if you can't establish a IV central line, you could actually make that inmate bleed to death. And that is under the rules and regulations. It's against the policy. If you can't establish a IV central line, whether that be one or two, that is a failure upon that prison, and it's an automatic reprieve.
And then to make matters worse, so he got executed on Thursday. They told me from the minute that he is declared unalived, dead, he then becomes your property. They told me that straight away. So I said, okay, fine. But they have a contract with a funeral home called Khan's Funeral Home, right? Where they originally send the body. I call up on Friday morning and I say to them, hello, like, obviously, I now have possession of the body. It's my property. I want to pick up the body. They wouldn't let me pick up the body. They kept saying, well, we haven't been sent a notification that he's died. I said, he's in the damn cooler. He's definitely dead. If he's not dead, tell him to come home. You know, like, stop playing games. And she's like, ma'am, this ain't like the movies. I know you British, but, you know, this is Texas. And I said, I don't care if this is Mars. I want his body back. They wouldn't, because we ended up having our own funeral directors and we didn't want to use them, because I said to them, he's already suffered under TDCJ. The last thing I need is for you guys to cremate him. So obviously my funeral directors calling them, and to the point that they tried to bribe him, you need to pay money to release the body. So he said, that's fine, I'm gonna call the state and let's see if I have to pay money. That's when they released the body. The funeral director turned around and said to me that when they went to, luckily I bought him clothes to change into. They said that he had bodily fluids all over his pants. And then obviously where the IV was, I saw it. There was the IV clearly must have come back out because it was all over his sleeves. And I was like, what the heck has happened? What has happened to my husband's body the last few days? Because I couldn't understand why they were fighting so hard not to let his body out.
Because they probably didn't want you to see the IV lines that they failed to put in.
And it's too late because I took every picture. I have my phone has all the pictures of his body. I literally took his clothes off with the funeral director, and he went through everything with me. I went through every bruise, everything, and he was telling me this is the part where he was like, nope, this is the part where the bloods got together because of his, obviously, the body passing, and this is the part where it came from the execution. And I took pictures one by one by one. You know, they said to me when I went to see his body after his execution, about 45 minutes later, they said to me, I'm not allowed to touch his arm because the injection is still there, that I could end up getting killed. I could end up dying if I came into contact with a lethal injection. So I had 6 people on top of my head watching me where I'm touching my husband. I could only touch his head for the first time in my life, touch his head and his neck, because every other part of his body was completely covered. And they said, if you touch it, that's it.
And get this, for everybody that's in here, they told her when she was screaming and crying during his execution because his neck fell back and he grunted because he was suffocating, they told her, we need you to calm down because we want you to be able to see his body. What? Oh, they laughed about it, Jules. They laughed at her. They threw a big old barbecue afterwards. They laughed at him getting executed.
And they kept saying to the major kept saying to me, "Ma'am, you need to get it together. Ma'am, you need to get it together. Ma'am, you need to calm down." I said to her, "Lady, are you not seeing what I'm seeing? Are you not seeing what I'm seeing? Are you not seeing his lips are going blue?" And they just went quiet. They just went quiet. And it was crazy. At one point, they at one point, because obviously when he grunted, he like he made that noise and he dropped. I dropped on the floor, right? Because I started screaming and they picked me up and there was four people holding me down physically on the chair. Because obviously, I don't know about Tennessee, but in Texas, it's just a room and there's only foldable chairs on the corner. It's an empty room. There's no chairs, no nothing. And literally, there's just foldable chairs. And they unfolded this chair and they literally sitting, like holding me down. I had somebody's arm around my waist, holding me down, people holding me down by my shoulder, and somebody else holding me down by like here. And I'm telling them, let me get up, let me get up. And they're like, no, 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 no. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to get up. You need to sit down until you calm down. And about 5 minutes later, I had to quickly pretend that I've calmed down. And I'm like, can I get back up? And then they let me back up. And then again, they kept pulling me back down and they kept holding me down on the chair. For why? Because apparently I should have stayed calm.
That's your husband. You're not going to be calm. The fuck? They want you to be calm during the execution of your love of your life and your husband? Like, are you out of your rabbit ass mind? Wild. That is harsh.
And then they got upset because I turned around to everybody and I said, I hope you guys give your life to Christ because you're all going to end up answering to the Lord. And literally they got upset for me saying that because apparently we're all Christians.
Yes, inmates are awake when it happens, Kimberly. They're not put to sleep. They're wide awake when they are strapped to a gurney.
Yeah, they don't even
and they're awake for the whole process.
They don't get given no sedatives, no nothing.
Yes, they don't give them sedatives. They don't give them anything. They give them the IV and they establish the medications until they suffocate and they go into cardiac arrest. That's pretty much it. And that process can last 21 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on the inmate. And this young lady had to sit and watch that entire process. And she was not allowed to leave the room. They told her once she went in there, she was not allowed to leave. Yes, they feel it, Kimberly.
Yeah, Demeter, he did cry. He cried a lot. He was saying, I'm scared. I didn't do this. I'm scared. And that's why I used to, like, we had an agreement before that morning. We had an agreement that he looks at me in the eyes the whole time. He kept looking at the victims' families and he would get so upset. He would cry. And then I would tell him, James, look at me, because he could hear me. And I'm like, James, babe, look at me. Babe, look at me. Don't worry about them. Look at me. And yeah, so we died. I definitely died that day as well mentally, but he died just looking at me.
It's so horrific. That is terrifying. And yes, guys, it's James Broadnax. His cousin admitted to it, even wrote a letter stating that he was the one that did it. But James got the DP and the cousin got 25 years to life, right?
Life without parole, yeah, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you got offered a deal as well. So.
And you're just so incredibly strong, and I hate it so bad because I watched your videos and I watched the day that happened to James and the media and all the things. And it's, yes, I was telling you guys about this case. Yeah, we were live that day and we were talking about, no, I'm not James's cousin. I'm no kin. We advocate against the DP, Lisa, in certain circumstances like this. Where you've got James, you've got Tony, you've got many others who are suffering at the hands of our system, who has failed them and who has not advocated for them like they should.
And that's why I say to people, listen, throw me on the fire line when it comes against the death penalty. I don't care what happens. And it's coming to a point where I really want to fight for cameras in the death chambers. Because
Absolutely.
again, there's no cameras in there. And I'm sick and I'm literally I'm appalled at the way they can come out of there and lie that someone died peacefully, knowing that they never did die. And it's crazy because these people are trained to see these executions. They go every couple months, every few weeks to go witness another execution, and they come out of there. You have to be so cold to be able to witness these deaths.
Oh, I couldn't do it. And that's why I said, because I'm friends with, and I want to introduce her to you. I'm friends with Gary's fiance, who might can learn a lot from you and try to prepare, like, you know what I mean? Because we don't know it. And we're not saying that he is gonna be put to death, but we're saying that I think it would be beautiful for her to meet people who have gone through this and know what it's like to go through this as a spouse, because I honestly could not imagine as a spouse putting myself in your position and having to do that. You're so strong, and know that you're so strong. And he's smiling down at you today, knowing how strong you are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And you
It doesn't
remember
feel like
that
it.
he is with you. He is with you every step of the way, and he would be happy to see you fighting for other people wrongfully convicted.
Thank you. I'm always going to be fighting for people, because at the end of the day, it's sickening. And listen, like I keep saying, I will throw myself on the firing line against the death penalty, and that is it. And 100%, yeah. The thing is, this is the thing, right? Obviously, me being in the legal field as well, it's like it was my best benefit to know the law, but it because I studied Texas death penalty as well, and the death penalty in America, and the Constitution law going back to the forefathers who brought the death penalty into the US. And it's like it was my biggest benefit knowing the law, but it was my biggest curse. And but at the same time, I always knew I had to be prepared for anything. As much as I had hope and faith that, you know, the new evidence should stop this and reprieve and
Keep
whatever,
up.
I had to be realistic and be like, the worst can still happen. But I
Yes.
was never mentally prepared for what I was going, how I was, because people would be like, how are you going to react? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'll be honest with you. I was even trying to find a way that they can unalive me that night. Like I was trying to find a way. And I remember James told his lawyer, I want you to go in there with her because I want her to come out of there alive. And he just couldn't trust me to be in there with these people. He could not trust me to go in there with the 3 correctional officers, the major, the media, and the chaplain by myself. He could not trust them. So he asked his lawyer, can you please go in there in case anything happens to her? You are the witness. And I was just like, I couldn't handle it. At one point, I had a manic attack. I kept having manic attacks, right? Dora, there was one point they took me out. I had a panic attack in the middle of the front. You could see it all over the cameras. The cameras are all facing me, and they had to carry me down the stairs. I've gone on the other side. They've sat me down on the chair, and I'm having a panic attack on the chair. And they're trying to rush me out because obviously the other families are coming out. They didn't want us to come together. Next thing you know, I've come out. I've started running. They're asking me. They're asking me, where are you going? And I'm telling them, I need to go see James. James is over there. James is over there. And they're like, he's gone. He's gone. And I'm just running like a maniac. I had 15 different police officers chasing me because I kept telling them I had a manic, but I thought I saw James and I'm running after something that is not even my husband. But at that same time, the families were coming out. So they're panic. They don't know if I'm lying to them and I'm running after the families. But genuinely, I kept saying to them, I'm seeing James. I'm seeing James. And I remember I stopped at one point and I'm looking at the parking lot and he's not there.
It's so sad. I
And
can't
then
imagine what that was like for you having to witness that. T-Bop, I see that you're in here. I want to introduce Carolyn to her. This is Miss Broadnax. Her husband was executed in April. And she talks about her experience, and people don't realize how it affects her. She lives with trauma every single day. And like she said, she has panic attacks in the middle of the night asleep. She'll be fast asleep and have panic attacks. And she said she won't even lay in a bed because her husband was killed in a bed. So she lays on the floor some nights. It's
every
so
night.
sad. This is real life, and this is how it affects people that go through it. And they don't understand that. People don't understand it at all.
It's crazy. And then when I saw the funeral car, I started running after the funeral car and they're pulling me back. And it was like, and do you know what's so crazy? Because I don't know in Tennessee, can they touch inmates or are they behind the glass as well?
They're behind the glass.
Okay, so another thing is
And
when
she
I
knows
went
Gary's story, T-Bop. She knows Gary and
Tony.
Tony.
And the craziest thing is because obviously we were never allowed to touch, it was so weird when I walked into the chapel. I forgot that I didn't realize I was still allowed to touch him. I was allowed to touch him. It was like there was in my head there was an invisible glass between us. And yeah, and I remember we had our first kiss because my husband was very like my husband gave his life to Christ, so he was very very big about I want you to get married so when we first kiss we'll be husband and wife. And I'll never forget our first kiss, and it was my first and last kiss. And that broke my heart. That broke my heart. For the rest of my life, I'm going to struggle with it. But
Yeah.
I literally walk around like a zombie. I don't, I literally just walk around like I'm here, but I'm not here.
It's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking knowing that, and and knowing that they treated you like you were shit. That day they were in there while this woman was watching her husband die. The other side was in there laughing during the entire execution, laughing like it was a celebration. And they had a barbecue afterwards, but she was denied water while she was watching her husband pass away.
And there was media that caught them walking out smiling. So it's like, yeah, I am getting counseling. I've got therapy now, which I start tomorrow. My first therapy session is tomorrow. And then obviously they've given me medication because it's that bad.
Yeah. And hopefully, being able to talk about it will help you, like, because sometimes when you talk to strangers, you feel more comfortable with strangers than you do people closest to you. Because sometimes people don't understand what it's like. And I can't ever put myself in the position that I know what you felt because I wasn't there, but I can give you and wrap my arms around you and say that I'm so sorry and be here to anything that you may need. Any way that this true crime community can help you, we're here to do that.
Thank you. I just want us to keep on fighting, to keep on shouting and screaming. And I need this death penalty to be gone. We can't have any more bodies being executed because of the wrong reasons. This is not for justice. This is not for deterrent. This is just revenge, politics, money. This is all for all the wrong reasons. And I need to do everything I can to stop it, to bring awareness, because honestly, it is crazy. It's not, I'm like, at this point, right? I'm like, we need to have one live execution for people to really see what happens.
Yeah, and they tried to tell her it was peaceful, but she watched her husband's neck fall back and he groaned, and that was he was suffocating in front of her, and she was trying to get to him and trying to help him in any way, but they failed him. They failed him. And when I say that this is so sad, she has made it clear she is against the death penalty for wrongful convictions. She has made that clear.
Yeah. I've always been an advocate against the death penalty. Did I ever think in my whole entire life that my husband would be a death row inmate who gets executed? Never in my life. And people don't understand that my fight is even stronger because I know what it feels to be in those shoes. And people don't understand. I'm coming back stronger and harder. And it will never bring my husband back. But I will ensure that in my husband's name, there will be a difference. There will be a change. And we all need to get, like you said, Dora, we all need to gather together and fight this monster.
Absolutely. You've got people right here coming in here right now from this true crime community that will stand behind you and fight even harder because we are loud and we don't care. We don't care who it pisses off. We don't care who it makes mad. We don't care. We will fight it with you. We will stand beside you in solidarity to make changes in this country. We're gonna make history. We're gonna do it.
100%. And I can't wait for it to be changed. And yeah, I will never forget, right? We had the new evidence. We're like, thank God the truth is coming out. And, the co-defendant speaking up. And I'm like I said, I studied it. I'm like, we should be good. And when I mean they pulled the rug under our feet so quickly, I was like, what the heck just happened? Like, there was like, we all tumbled. We all tumbled. And we were all trying to pull ourselves back up to fight this case. And it was wild. I came to Texas, 120 pounds. I have now left Texas, if 100 pounds, if that. A size 0 is baggy on me. A size 0. I re-wore my wedding dress when I went to see his body, right? It's a size 0 dress. It's baggy. It does not fit me.
I know how it's hard for you, and I know that it's something that you're going to carry with you the rest of your life. But you have people in here now that are going to look after you and make sure you're taking care of you also throughout the process because it's hard. And James is with you. He's there. He's in that room right now.
Yeah.
And he would be so proud of you speaking out and speaking up for other people who may be going through the same thing.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why seeing Tony get a reprieve, it was like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Finally, something is happening, like you're intervening, because it felt like God gave up on us. And to know that somebody survived it, it brings joy. Because there's not many that survive. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard and it's gonna feel like a long road, but you know what? In James's name, you're gonna make history and we're gonna help you. We're gonna fight with you. We'll stand beside you. We will do everything it takes to make a change.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, James's last words were don't give up.
Yeah, he said, I love you, Queen. Don't give up. I love you, Queen. Don't. And then that's when he was like, don't. And that's when he groaned. I don't even know if it's a groan. It was just like like I said, the only way I can describe it is when somebody punches you, like a shock to the body, like a pain. When like you're in pain. That kind of like, and then, yeah.
Yes, exactly. They thought by killing him in the end, but his name will live through her. Absolutely.
And do you know
Absolutely,
what's
he
so
will.
crazy? They all believe that when they execute James, it's going to be done there. But they didn't realize that God left something behind. And that's me. That's me. He may have died, but God left something behind under his name, which is me. We both share the same last name now. I am one in him. So with him. So it's like, if that's not enough proof to know that God is still in this, and that, the fight is still not over, then I don't know.
Exactly. And you know what? He would be proud of your fight. He would be extremely proud of your fight, because I'm sure that in there he met a lot of good friends that meant a lot to him. And
Yes.
you know what? In that fight, he's standing proud of you for fighting for him and being that voice for other people that may be going through the same things.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm patiently waiting to gain some more strength. And there are some plans. Obviously, I still need to finish off my law so I can start practicing. And yeah, we're on it. We're going. Um, they're gonna remember our names for the rest of our days.
Absolutely. And they're going to. And you have an army of people that are standing in solidarity with you to help make a change in this world. And you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And I want you to keep faith and know that I know the struggle is real, and I know that I can never say that I feel like you or have been through the things that you just recently went through. But what I can do is stand with you. I don't even need to know you. I don't need to know the story. I know the facts. I saw it lay out. And you know what? It's coming together as one, as a community, as people to make history change. Because we
Yep.
can't, if we continue to be silent and we allow it to go on and we continue to sit back and not say nothing, it'll continue for many, many, many years after we're off this earth. And we don't want the next generation to have to go through this.
Thank you, Bonnie. Of course, silence is a way of not taking accountability, and we need to keep saying louder and louder and louder. Even when they're trying to shush us, we still need to go louder and louder and louder. And it is what it is. If fear shouldn't stop us.
Do you know how many thousands of us are on social media? We can make a change.
100%. Do you know what I've realized since me being on social media as well now? We need to give people the knowledge, because not everybody goes on DPIC, not everybody goes on like the TDCJ or the Tennessee websites and stuff like that. And I've come to realize that a lot of people don't have the knowledge of what really is going on, especially like for me, like in the UK and so many other places. A lot of people didn't even know a lot of the facts. And I'm like, we need to use the social media to teach people what is going on. Why are we against the death penalty? We're not just against the death penalty because we want to be an activist, because it's our passion. We're against it because of these facts, these issues, these problems. And I think it's super important to teach people that something as basic as, about the compound pharmaceuticals, how they are these
Well,
lethal
this is why
injections are
pharmaceutical
expired.
companies won't even sell to them anymore, because
Yeah.
it's against their morals.
Mm-hmm. So
And we
it's
need to
just,
be loud about it. And today I'll put out a post on my Facebook why we're against the death penalty and for these reasons. And we will start tagging everybody. We'll
yeah.
tag the UCLA, we'll tag Texas, we'll tag every one of them. And I can message you and
Mm-hmm.
send you my page. That way that you see, there's people, we go live on here all the time, all day, every day. We're talking about it. We spread awareness about it. We will get loud. We
Yeah.
are loud. Hell, I was last night tagging damn McDonald's in the
Yeah.
death penalty against Gary Wayne. I don't care who it makes mad.
Yeah. 100%. That's what I did. I tagged Tom, Dick, and Harry from every corner of the world, because at the
Yep.
end of the day, you don't know. You don't know. And who can help you? You don't know whose word can make an impact, but also people need to learn. People need to understand what we're fighting for.
Yeah. Do you know
And
how many thousands of us compared to them there are? There's lots
thank
of
you.
us.
Thank you. And it's like, yeah, we're going to make a change. I truly believe it. It's becoming more and more known. It's becoming more and more public knowledge what the death penalty is about. And the more
So
we
I
keep
want
on
you to know
fighting.
Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning, they're holding a press conference to ask the state of Tennessee to stop all executions because
Oh,
of
wow.
Tony's.
Oh, wow. That's
That's where
incredible.
we all need to go. We need to be in there in the morning shouting, stop it nationwide.
I wish I could be there. I wish I could be there. And I think it's super
Oh, it'll be
important.
on live stream. We'll live stream it.
Okay, perfect. And I think that one thing that I really, really want to do is get together with all the families of inmates that have been executed. I really want to arrange something where all families get together and we talk about all these inmates that have been executed and
Yep.
how they're feeling and how they're dealing with it. And because these families just get lost in the process, they get forgotten in the process, right? And I understand there's the idea of what about these people, what about the victims, and I truly believe, like, yes, we are acknowledging you 100%. However, there are other, like, we need to be heard too.
Yep.
And I think it's super important, super important. And I need to figure out how to do it, because
We can research it and get the names of them, and we can try to reach out to them.
yeah, arrange it in whatever state works for us, and we can all get together and we can all start talking and sharing stories and experiences of what it was to experience executions and leading to the executions, and how it struggles. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? We literally can get loud, and all of us. I will find out what live stream it is that will be live streaming it tomorrow. Every single one of us need to be in that live stream shouting, "Stop it," nationwide.
100%.
We need to be in every state shouting it, because if they abolish that and they stop the death penalty due to the certain cases and certain processes of the executions, stop executions for people who are innocent. Stop it. Like, what? We need to be in there. Yeah, Anna, we will be on tomorrow. It'll either be mine or Chass's, but we will be on streaming it. Best believe, because we will be tagging the governor all the way down to Chick-fil-A and Burger King, okay?
Oh,
And the
yeah.
White House. We don't care. We'll tag Tom, Dick, and Harry, like you said. We don't care.
Yeah.
And we will join the fight together. We will do it. We have come together with Miss Broadnax here today, and guess what? We ain't stopping. We don't care. We don't care who it makes mad.
It's the least of my worries. I couldn't care. They'll get over it. Yeah. But
We will
guys,
scream it, and we will be here. Yeah, we don't care. Facts. We don't.
I couldn't give a crap. See me, I don't care. Like, it's okay, you're upset. Okay. What do you want me to do about it? It's your problem, not mine.
Yep. Yep. There are people, but we can overpower social media.
And it's
We can overpower social media if we start going around getting communities together and supporting one another. We can make a change, and we can make history,
100%.
and we can make that change. And it starts with us.
100%. 100%. And I also have been made aware that a lot of UK law firms are doing pro bono work for death penalty cases in the US. So I'm going to be in contact with them all and just start, like, I want to be in contact with every organization that I can, even in Europe, to keep on fighting. And I think it's time that we start fighting, and even harder. We've been fighting for many years and they've been trying to shut us up. And now we need to keep on fighting as much as possible.
Yes, we do. We need to fight it.
Yeah. So
there is many of us. There are thousands to billions of us on social media. If you see something, say something. And don't be afraid to use your voice. Because you are the voice that voted these people in. You are the voice that have the right, and it's called We the People. And we the people, it's time we take a stance and use our voices loud and proud.
100%. 100%. And we're not doing anything illegal. So they can't
take your freedom of speech from you.
No, we're not doing anything illegal. We are, as they say it, we are protesting peacefully. So we're not breaking any laws. But yeah, so we're gonna keep on doing this. But guys, I'm gonna get off for now.
I appreciate you, and thank you for letting me come up and talk to you. I will be
Thank
in
you.
touch. I'll message you.
Please do. Yes, it was lovely speaking to you. I'm so happy that you came on. It helps sometimes to speak to people in here because I don't feel like I'm talking about myself all the time. But yeah, I appreciate you. Definitely message me. I love you guys. Thank you for all your support. And we should definitely do this more.
We absolutely should. We should hold weekly sessions where we talk about it
For sure. For sure.
and get other
Definitely.
people in here who have experienced it in here talking about it.
Yes. And that's what we need to do. So yeah. Good night,
And look
guys.
after your self-love. Make sure you take care of you today and get you some food and water and just breathe.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get some food and then probably take a nap or something. You can see I'm yawning. It's because of the medication. It makes me very drowsy. But yeah. All right, guys.
We'll
Thank you
see you
again,
soon, honey.
Dora. See you soon. Oh, by the way, Dora in Albanian means hand. Bye, guys.